Welcome to another episode of the GameStalk Live podcast. I am Jay Fonzarelli, one host here of this here show. And of course, we've got none other than Hargeet Chani. How you doing, Hargeet?
I'm good. We had some fun stuff, like dropped right in the middle of Web Dave's podcast, right? So I co-host that one as well. And so right as we're starting, we get this nice little drop from Halo. Fantastic. We get to talk about that.
It's rare. It's rare that you get news on a Sunday, and it's even rarer that you get such big news on a Sunday. So
yeah. So it's fun.
Yeah. And we'll get into the whole talk about Halo and everything. Of course, it's a gaming podcast. We're going to talk about everything. So there's a lot to dissect there for sure. What you been up to this week? What have you been playing?
Have I actually played anything? I don't think I've played anything.
Damn, you're not a gamer. Gone.
I know, right? I need to freaking play. It's just been work and then I go into podcasts and then I'm like, oh, I don't have time.
Oh, so, that's right. I'm taking all your time. We're all taking your time from gaming. Every podcast that you're on is right. We're responsible.
Last night, for instance, I ended up going into C Money's, and so that got wasted there, right? Whatever. So I don't know what I did Monday night. Obviously I watched Colt. So.
Yeah, either you're on a podcast or you're listening to podcasts or watching them. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then today, of course, it's the doubleheader. I had Booms on at 7 or 3 hours before now, and now we have this one. So
yeah. Life has been crazy. Colin Prime, you don't know my take on Halo and on the new Halo. Yeah. You have no idea my take on Halo. I saw you in Boom's chat say something about me that was 100% wrong, but we'll get into that later.
We'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, because, I've got my issues. For me, I've been dabbling with games this past week. The past couple of weeks, I've been trying to find a game to stick with, and it's been tough. I got to tell you. Yeah. I've bought a bunch of old games for very cheap, by the way. Trying to play
on Steam or
CD keys, Steam.
Yes, right. That's the beauty of PC gaming. You can get a whole ton of games. They're like a couple of bucks. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I bought Hogwarts for like $14 or whatever, and it was like, you know what? I love Hogwarts. Right? It was a great game.
It's like a freaking awesome game from just last year.
Yeah. So I started to replay that game a bit, and I like it. I enjoy it, but I have a problem trying to replay single-player games again.
Yeah, because you've already done it,
it's
right?
Tough. Especially something like Hogwarts, which is fresh in my mind still. But yeah, I've been trying different games, and what I've downloaded earlier, I want to get into in a bit here, is I've downloaded the demo for Metaphor, because it's a game. By the way, we'll just go ahead and get into Metaphor. Metaphor is...
and before we do that, one game that's announced, finally, after freaking ever, Red Dead Redemption is finally coming to PC.
Oh,
Isn't that freaking ridiculous?
Yes.
It's finally coming to PC, like 15 years later, 14 years later.
We're talking about the first Red Dead Redemption, okay? We're talking about the John Marston Red Dead. And I'm elated by it. I'm happy because, of course, I'm going to get it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I'm going to get it. And, how much I'll play through of it, I don't know right now. But I can tell you, I've already replayed it on the Series X like 2 years ago. So, but this will be the first time I'll get to play it at 100 and plus frames, 100 plus frames. They didn't really do anything to it special. It's basically
which is a bit disappointing. But I mean, the game was pretty good for when it came out. That was a 360 PS3, right?
Still holds up.
But yeah, it would have been nice if they had some texture upres or something like that. But okay, whatever.
No, I mean,
would have been an opportunity.
The fact that they allow us to just go wild with the frames on PC, of course, I'm good with that. They still need to do that for Red Dead 2 on console. They need to get that 60 frames out there. Did that come
to PC? Is RDR2 on PC?
Oh, RDR2's already been on PC. Yeah.
Okay.
It came out a year after it dropped on.
Okay.
It was a year and 1 month after it dropped on console. I replayed through all of that just recently, And that was a fantastic experience. Again,
Oh, that's
one of my
right.
favorite games.
You guys were playing through that. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Colt actually started it and finished it around the same time. We were just playing through it, and then we'd talk about it. Like every day we'd get through stuff, and we'd be like, hey, did you do this? Yeah. Man, that was so good to, we would just sit there and chat about it. It's what you should do. I mean, this is what gaming is all about, and, and having fun, talking about the games and stuff.
Right? Yeah.
Enjoying games. And a lot of people... I'm going to get into this later, but a lot of people out there think that I'm just very negative and miserable about games, and it makes me laugh because I love games. There's so many games I love, and Halo is one of those games, people. Halo Combat Evolved is one of my favorite games of all time. So anybody that thinks that I'm not happy at all with what's going on with Halo, you're crazy. But yeah, Metaphor. I wanted to talk about Metaphor. What's it sitting at? Metacritic score and all that jazz. I mean, I don't usually look, but I heard it's doing really well.
It's definitely in the low 90s, maybe mid 90s. So
wow,
like I'll look at the Open Critic.
That's better.
It is at 92 Open Critic.
Holy crap!
I'm gonna go to Meta. I think it's a little higher on the Meta side for maybe like the PlayStation. Let me just see.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. I see you, Cullen Prime, Stilo Fax, Biff Rinaldi.
Yeah, it's 94.
Dead Time. Moose 1,
So
Zach Riley, 94. That is really good. The Rambo,
That's
I see you. Danny Passion Official.
PlayStation 5.
Danny Passion, I see you. Yeah, that's right, Dead Time. Gavin! Yeah, if you've played Red Dead 2, you know all about that. Dude, yeah. So Metaphor is a game that normally, like, I don't mind a JRPG, okay? I used to play JRPGs all the time. You might not know this, but I actually played the Lunar Silver Star Lunar series back in the day on Sega CD and on Sega back in the day. I enjoy a good JRPG. I mean, that's how
the one that's coming back, right? The remaster is coming back. Yeah.
So, I mean, cool. I've enjoyed JRPGs. Final Fantasy VII is another one that I freaking loved back in the day, and that's why I like the remake so much. But the reason why I couldn't get into some of the Atlas games, like Persona, that series, is the whole high school aspect of it, Hargeet. The high school aspect of it. When they're going to school and they've got these teachers that are doing things to the kids and stuff. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to deal with this.
Nothing ever happens like that.
No, I know, but there's certain things that are insinuated and yeah, exactly. But it's the high school aspect of it for me. It's the whole, I can't really do it. So I couldn't really put myself into that situation and really dive into it. But this one is like their first like fantasy type game, sort of Lord of the Rings-ish,
what was Unicorn Overlord like? Is that also kind of like that? Because that was also
I don't know,
right?
I don't know, but I heard that I guess this is their first one in that style of like Persona and stuff.
Yeah.
So it looks really interesting.
Unicorn, I probably should, right? Because I can kind of tend to like them, and that one's an 88, right? So
yeah, so
they're smashing it this year.
I watched a bunch of videos and on Metaphor. And I downloaded the demo based on those videos I watched. I mean, it looks promising. And it's also got that hybrid action plus turn-based RPG thing going on, which I do like. Final Fantasy Remake does that as well. And because I can't play Rebirth right now on the PC, I might as well try to play some Metaphor. And if I like the demo, I'll buy the game. My son's already ready to play the game. He's getting Metaphor. He's going to buy it on his own and play it because he loves the Persona series and stuff. So he's going to get the game. But I just got to see how it is for me. You're excited for the game. You bought it. What do you or your thoughts on the game?
I already pre-ordered it. I haven't played it at all, but I've pre-ordered it because it looks like it's going to be something. Look, I already like the Personas, so I figure it's going to be in that vein, if not better than what they've already got. So, but I'm actually interested in Unicorn Overlord. I kind of skipped it for now, but I kind of need to go back and see how that is. Sega has been smashing it as well. Like Yakuza Infinite Wealth was like a 90 meta, and that came out early in the year, right? So they just have been doing great. They have Sonic coming out. I don't know how good that's going to be. But yeah, it's been a pretty good year for Sega this year. So they might end up being like freaking publisher of the year. They have a lot of 90 level games this year, so we'll see how it goes for them.
I mean, that's great for Atlas, great for Sega. That's huge.
Yeah,
but yeah, some people are calling this game of the year. If you can believe
I
it.
think
I mean,
already crowned. It's going to be Astro. I just think
there's so many games out there that came out this year that I think could be considered game of the year. Astrobot's one of them. I think Astrobot's a great game.
FF7, right?
FF7 Rebirth. A lot of people talk about that game. I've not played it yet, but I heard about that.
Might end up being in contention. We'll see.
Even Elden Ring's DLC could be in contention. You never know.
If they'll put DLC, right?
I don't know.
Definitely highly rated. It was definitely highly rated.
I don't know because it's very highly rated and highly respected, and it was a huge expansion. Because to me, the game, it was way more than just a simple DLC. I mean, it was an expansion. Yeah. That thing was massive. Where's my clip?
Massively huge.
Yeah.
Oh man, that thing is massively huge.
Exactly. Which, by the way, guys, he may or may not. He may join us a little while later. Colt Eastwood, that is. And that would be very...
Oh, man, that thing is massively huge.
Yeah, it would be massively huge if he did. Got pause. Anyways, so Metaphor is looking pretty good. I'm looking forward to trying it out, trying the demo at least, seeing how that works out. I know you've bought the game. You're excited to play it as well. And maybe if you can stop doing some podcasts, you can get to that game pretty quickly.
I know, right?
Because I assume that's the next.
Yeah, maybe this weekend I can actually like
that's
go
the
into
next one, right?
No, I can't. Like, I actually have a high school friend's 50th birthday to go to this Saturday.
Who cares about that? Come on. I mean, I know you only turned 50 once, but it's just another birthday.
No, I'm going to be going to this birthday.
By the way, I took the PC out behind me, as you can see. Like, I moved it to another situation because I had recently I think I said this 2 weeks ago, because we were not here last week, by the way. We were not here last week because, well, I didn't feel like going on and talking about the same stuff we talked about the week prior because there was no news last week. It was dead. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to force a podcast when there's nothing really to talk about. It's just not going to be me. I ain't got no time for that. But anyways, a couple of weeks ago, I got a new monitor. It's a QD OLED. And anyways, it didn't fit how I had it. And it was just like barely hanging on for dear life. So I had to change my situation here. And I moved the PC so it's out of the way. And I just, I feel more comfortable now in this setup. So feels good.
Cool,
Biff, by the way, just turned 40. Happy birthday, Biff.
Nice.
That's good to know, Biff. You're in your 40s now. Guess what? You're officially old. When you hit 40, it's official. You're old. Yes, Danny, I have a lot of family, kids and grandkids and mother-in-law, and I got a lot of family in Florida. And luckily, they're in Central Florida, so it's not too bad for them, but they're still going to get some damage. I've been in contact with them. The storm should hit them sometime in the morning, tonight, sometime in the morning, something.
Surge is already starting, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Freaking, seriously, for everybody that's in Florida, if you listen to this after, it sucks so bad. I don't know what to say. I hate the fact that these storms have to happen, but this is unfortunately something that we've got to deal with in life. The Hurricane Helene just hit North Carolina real bad, flooded out a lot of my family that's there too. By the way, I have family that had damage from Helene. Now I've got family that's got to deal with Milton. I think it is Hurricane Milton.
Yeah. And this one's even bigger, right? So,
and this one, yeah. So, Solid Rev, by the way, who's in the community, he lives in Tampa. So he is right there. And because of the job he does, he can't go anywhere. He has to stay.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's no leaving for him. Now I think his family he makes them go,
At least,
but
yeah,
he has to stay. And my thoughts go out to him and
Probably
everybody
in,
else that have to deal with this.
yeah, he's probably in a responder vehicle or something like that. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so.
Sucks.
And
Danny's
Danny's pretty close there. He says, Danny, how far away from Tampa are you? Man, one of the reasons why I never want to live on a coastal city, by the way, because of things like this. I just don't want to deal with that.
You live on one right now.
No, but I'm further in. I'm in the East Bay, so it's inland quite a bit. It's not too bad here. If something were to happen, but we don't get hurricanes like that,
you would get over that because you're on the other side of it, right? So,
but we do have a river near us that would swell. We do have a river.
Okay. So you have some flooding, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing you guys have, of course, is earthquakes.
Earthquakes. That's what I was going to say. It's earthquake country, and I hate to say it, but we're like due for a massive one, and I hate to say it that way, but I went through the '89 earthquake myself. I remember that one very well. My parents were stuck in San Francisco. We didn't hear from them until 2-3 a.m. in the morning. We thought they were dead as kids.
Oh, wow.
We didn't know if our parents were alive. It was a scary, crazy time. I remember it vividly because it was during the World Series, and we were just getting ready to watch the World Series, and it hit. Yeah, man. One of the scariest moments of my life, not being able to reach out to my parents or anything. And they both worked in separate buildings. So yeah, they couldn't even get in contact with each other right away. And back then, there was no cell phones everywhere. Not everybody had a cell phone. So you didn't have that communication like we do now.
Yeah.
It's crazy the times we live in.
Better now, right? But
yeah. But
hey, what are you going to do? It is what it is, right?
Yeah, I hate to get all depressing like that, guys. We can talk about some games, but yeah, we just. I guess
games
we had
came out. We got Until Dawn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I heard that thing is a shit show, man. On PC at least.
Pal World came out. Well, it's not doing well either.
Pal World came out. Really?
Pal World came out on PlayStation, and it's not doing well over there either.
Why? What's going on?
It's not selling. I look at the store and see where it charts, and it's not doing well. They're not buying Pal World over there. Certainly not to the level we did. It is right now. Let's see if I can even find it. Where's Pal World?
While you're looking up that, I'm going to read these super chats. Danny Passion Official, thank you very much for the 2. He says, "I'm from the Caribbean. Storms are a piece of cake." No, it doesn't make it a piece of cake.
He's right.
Maxi Coleman, thank you very much for the what's ARS 50. Appreciate you. He says, "Are we clear that now that Halo is on a multi-plat engine, next step is porting to PlayStation? They are killing Xbox."
Well, we don't know.
We don't know that for sure, and we're going to talk about Halo in a little while and get into all of that. But you're not wrong. They are on an engine now that is more easily portable, but I don't think that's the reason they did it.
And then
so Pal World is
21 is Until Dawn 21st
21st is Until Dawn. Until Dawn, though, I heard that it's not running very well. That the 30 frames is it's really bad on PC apparently. And I was watching this video where people were comparing images of the PS4 version to the new PS5 version, and some aspects of it actually looked better on the PS4. It was crazy. Wow. Some of the texture work actually looked better on the PS4. I don't know how that's possible, but what they were showing anyway, unless they manipulated the images, it looked better in some cases. Not all, but some.
So Silent Hill 2, on the other hand, is at 7, which isn't bad.
And I heard that's rated very well. It surprised me.
Rated
I did,
pretty well.
dude. I did
But yeah, I
not
don't
think
know if
Silent
it's
Hill
going
2
well.
was gonna be rated well at all. From the looks of it, I
So-
thought Silent Hill 2 was gonna be terrible.
That's kind of where it is, right? So we'll see.
And
The
Silent
one
Hill
that's
2,
number one that's actually doing well is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So that one actually is doing well. That's number one. So that one's selling.
yeah, I don't
Which
know.
also just came out, by the way, right? So
Yeah,
it's an interesting month.
interesting indeed.
Yeah.
I'll play a little IGN metaphor in the background for you guys. I don't know, some gameplay. See what it shows while we're talking here. But yeah, Silent Hill, did it shock you though? I mean, the fact that Silent Hill 2 didn't look that great in the beginning when we first saw it.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, and somehow it's rating really well, so it must be a good port, right? Whatever. Certainly you can pick it up on PC because it won't have all the same level of issues. It's also it'll eventually come to everything else. It's at a 1-year exclusivity. So my assumption it'll come to Nintendo and Xbox sometime next year.
Yeah. I don't know, but the whole money-heading thing, taking
The
these
old PlayStation.
multi-plats for exclusives, I think as time goes on and as these games don't sell as well as they used to, especially with the price tags nowadays, I think that a lot of these companies will stop allowing this stuff to happen. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm surprised that Konami cared to do that. It's not like Konami's not able to pay for their own port. I don't know why they needed Sony to fund this, but that's how it worked, I guess. So I don't know why Silent Hill 2 wasn't just Konami going to them and saying, "Hey, make a Silent Hill 2 game and we'll pay for it," and therefore it could come out on everything. It was Sony that kind of did that. Yeah, I'm gonna guess these major publishers are gonna stop doing it. We'll see how well this sells. If it does okay for them, great. If it doesn't, it's just another little thing that tells them, yeah, that was not a good idea. You should just not bother with that. Like Metaphor is marketed by Xbox. That doesn't mean it's locked to Xbox. Heck, it's not even in Game Pass, right? Everybody's getting it. Like, you guys can go buy it wherever, right? So I think that's a better path. Just leave it alone. Let people buy, especially these big publishers. If you're spending a lot of money making a game, it's gonna just it just makes sense.
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, shout out to all the guys that were complaining that Metaphor is being marketed by Xbox. I mean, you've got this thing where like some influencers and stuff out there were upset that because Microsoft don't typically market for JRPGs that they shouldn't do it somehow. And I find that odd. Like, you know what? They paid for it.
They're entitled.
Atlas allowed them to do so. I mean, this isn't like they took the game from other platforms. They marketed it. And then some of them tried to backpedal after they saw, oh, it's selling. Oh, I guess their marketing worked. Oh, well, that's not what I meant. I meant something else when I posted something about Microsoft. It's like, come on. I mean, at the end of the day, we knew what you were getting at. People just, I don't understand, man. The whole console war thing is just dumb. It's been over for years. I mean, Phil Spencer called it off 2 years ago. What are we doing? Like, for people to even talk about this anymore is weird.
And shout out to Atlas for putting out a demo.
Shout out to them for that.
I'm pretty sure like almost all games had it, right? And I don't know why that went away. Maybe it's a lot of work or something, but it's so important if you want to get people to try something before they can decide to buy it. Otherwise they just skip it, right? And it's like, well, people played it and they're like, oh, well, this is good. I want to buy it. And that's what you got to do. It's or it could be that they just had confidence and they're like, we know we got a good product here. We're going to put out a demo and people will try it. And then
demos are always, demos are always a great thing, man. I've always been an advocate for demos. I miss having demos. Back in the day, we used to get demos for just about every game. Back in the 90s, early 2000s.
It was awesome, man. But
and now, we may get a beta every now and then.
Yeah.
It's basically a demo.
Yeah.
Daily
No, I
Passion
like
Official.
that Xbox is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say thank you for he sent another super chat. He says, Fonz, I finally played Final Fantasy 16 and it wasn't a bad game. I don't care for its combat, especially during boss fights. I think that the QTEs during boss fights are just weak. I mean, it's a visual spectacle during boss fights. It is, but the QTE fights themselves. No, you have to do the QTEs.
Oh, dang it.
That's how the boss fights are in that game.
Another thing
And
that's
that's
happening. I've been noticing, like they'll do an accessibility feature to
Yeah.
get rid of QTEs. Like, yes, good. I don't like those. They're stupid.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Danny. The story and the combat itself in the base part of the game, the meat and potatoes, or the meat, I should say, it was decent. It wasn't bad. But when it got to those boss fights, I was like, really? I'm gonna sit here and like wait for you to tell me to press the triangle button, the X button, the O button while I'm watching this fantastic stuff happening on screen. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I don't even like that in God of War. I want to actually fight and do everything myself. I don't know. I don't care for QTEs.
FF16's now out on PC. So is God of War Ragnarok. That's out on PC, right? So
yeah, it's just not for me, Danny.
That reminds me. Everybody needs to go buy Lego Horizon. It's available for pre-order. You need to buy it on Switch and on PC to make sure that PlayStation stays third party. So make sure.
What kind of a monster would do that?
Oh, and that reminds me. I got to talk about this fun little thing. Herman Hulse put out that their most important IP was Horizon. And after thinking about it, he's right. And the reason is because the other ones aren't their IPs. So you have Spider-Man. That's not their IP. You have God of War. Well, you can't possibly have that as an IP because it's Kratos. Kratos is a Greek god. You can't have that as your IP. You're just making a franchise out of something else. So that's not their IP. You could look at Last of Us, but Last of Us 2, like kind of like I cut in half the player base because half the player base is like, fuck this game. And the other like, this is the best game ever. They had to literally throw away copies of the game because they printed too many and they didn't sell. You get Uncharted, but that's kind of fallen off because they kind of ended the Nathan Drake like thing and like, well, we don't know where the hell that's going to go. So what do they have? What is their big franchise?
You're being messy right now. You're being messy.
I'm serious. Tell me what else they have.
All those are their franchise, though. I mean, that's their IP.
Tell me any franchise that goes higher than Horizon.
God of War, Spider-Man.
I just told you can't have either one of those. They're not their IPs. He said the most important IP, not franchise, IP.
But they own that. They own those IP,
they don't
though.
Own Spider-Man.
How do they not own the IP?
The
IP. No, not Spider-Man himself, but the IP. They're the game.
No, they own a franchise based around somebody else's IP. That's the way it is.
I don't know if I see it that way, dude.
And there's no way you can have the IP of Kratos because Kratos is a Greek god. You cannot in any way take that away from just being general public, whatever, right? They can't make it their IP. That's not a possibility. So he's right. He's right. Their biggest IP is Horizon. Which is weird because I thought that was crazy, but then I'm like, wait a minute. He's right. He's right. That is their most relevant large IP. He's right.
Huh.
That's crazy, but that's true.
I don't see it that way. It's their IP. The game itself is an IP. It's
no, it isn't. Because you can't go to the trademark office or copyright office and say, I own the Greek god Kratos. No, you can't.
No. But they own the God of War game.
So
Sony
what?
Does.
Anybody can make one.
That's an IP though, but no, they can't.
No.
You're telling me that Microsoft can make a God of War game with Kratos?
Yeah, of course they can. Of course they can.
I don't believe they can.
You're telling me nobody can make a movie about Kratos? Of course they can.
I don't believe they. I think they would have to get permission.
Fuck no. What are you talking about? If somebody made a game about the 10 Commandments, you're telling me they own Moses? Hell fucking no.
No.
they don't.
Okay, so
They
so
can't
let me get this
possibly
straight.
Own it.
Let's take
They don't
Spider-Man
own
for
it.
instance.
They don't own it.
There are
Spider-Man is owned by
okay,
Marvel,
so
Disney.
Marvel owns Spider-Man, but then
Correct.
Sony owns the movie rights to Spider-Man.
No. It's licensed to them. It's licensed to them. Marvel still owns it, but they can't make movies because it was licensed to somebody else. So Sony has the license.
So therefore they're the only ones that can make the movies. So what I'm getting at is, so wouldn't it be the same thing for Spider-Man's games? They're the only ones that can make the games because they got
that's
Marvel's
why they have
approval.
to pay a royalty.
Yeah, they got Marvel's
That's why they have to
approval.
pay a royalty.
They got
No.
Marvel's
Anybody can
approval.
vote
Like,
for Disney, but that's not their IP. It's not Sony's IP.
by the way, Broken Games HDR is in chat, and he says Kratos is not the god of war
He's the god
in
of
Greek
war.
mythology.
Okay, whatever he is, but Kratos is part of Greek mythology, is he not?
But Kratos himself in this depiction is a video game character that is
It's
owned
irrelevant.
by
You
Sony.
cannot take public domain people and make them your IP. That's not a possibility. Somebody can make a game. So, for instance, Call of Duty is going to have President Bush in there. Do they now own President Bush? Fuck no. That's not a possibility. It's not a possibility. These are public figures. It's not a possibility. It's not their IP.
You know what? I'm not going to tell
It's
you.
not
I'm not
their
going to
IP.
pretend
It's a
I know how this
franchise.
works. But
It's
to
a
me, it
franchise
seems like
based on a public domain thing, but it can't be their IP. So God of War does not count. Spider-Man does not count. So he's right. Horizon's their biggest one, right? You could say Ghost of Tsushima. Is that at the level of Horizon? I don't think it is.
I think it's better than Horizon. Myself, that's a
I
personal
like it
thing.
better.
I like
I like it
Ghost
better. I agree.
combat way
But
better than
Doesn't go to
Horizon,
the same level.
and their story and their characters even better than Horizon. I think Jin was a way better protagonist than Aloy, but that's a personal opinion. And how the games look and designed, I think that the look of Horizon is far superior. I think it looks amazing. It's probably one of the best looking games I've seen. It's beautiful.
Yep.
But boring as all hell, in my opinion.
I mean, he's right. I was like kind of astonished myself, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's true. They can't claim Kratos. That's true. They can't. They can't.
I don't know
claim
if I
Spider-Man because that's Marvel.
I don't know
So-
if I believe that. Like I know what you're
I mean,
saying,
you don't
but
have
I
to believe it, but it's reality.
I don't
It's reality.
I don't see
Like,
it that
there's
way.
no way around it. There's no way around it.
I
Can
don't see
somebody
that.
make a game about Jesus and say they own Jesus?
I don't see that anybody else can make a Spider-Man game without permission from Marvel, and that's all
Correct.
it takes is
Marvel
permission from
owns
Marvel.
The IP.
Okay,
Marvel owns the IP.
okay,
It's not Sony. It's not PlayStation's IP.
but it's
He
their
said-
IP. Once they make a game, okay, they pay off to use this character and license or whatever.
Incorrect.
They own the IP. That game.
100% wrong. You know how I can prove that? KOTOR remake is not involving Microsoft. Who paid for KOTOR? Microsoft. It was an exclusive to Xbox. But it doesn't matter because the IP is owned by Disney. And Disney can say, oh, we're going to give it to them. They're going to take the entire freaking game KOTOR and give it to somebody else.
Biff Rinaldi,
Because they
thank you for
owned
the
it.
2. He says Sony owns publishing rights to Spider-Man, not the IP.
For movies. Correct. That's right. They don't own the IP. The IP is still owned by Disney. And that's just the way. And so they can't claim Spider-Man and they can't claim a Greek god. It's a public domain figure. You can't claim them. So
But
they don't
once you
have that
change,
IP.
okay, so
Like, this is crazy, but he's right.
okay, but Kratos himself. No, he's Kratos himself is a fictitious character made that is
In Greek
supposed to be
mythology.
supposed to be like the god of war of Greek mythology, but he's their own creation. Jaffe created him.
No, you can't. No, he didn't. Come on, Fonz. Why are you trying to make this into something that it isn't?
Because I can't see what you're saying to be right, to be honest.
I mean, Herman said it too, right? So you're thinking Herman isn't capable of understanding?
No,
what
I
they
think
own?
Herman is just biased and thinks that Guerrilla Games created the best game Sony has. And I think he's dead wrong, but that's his own bias showing.
I'm sorry. I can see Ghost of Tsushima, maybe, but then there might be some historical accuracy to that character, in which case it becomes public domain as well. So
Okay, so
I'm going to leave that
okay.
alone. But
So, I mean, there's a little bit of change in the name. I mean, somebody said it here. Kratos, the Greek god, is spelled with a C, and they spell it with a K.
I mean, that's semantics, right?
Well,
That's
because
like Cerberus, Kerberos.
but
happens.
that's their own spin, so they can say this is our IP.
No, you can't. You can't do that, dude. You can't. There's no way around it. I'm sorry that like it's
but there
confusing
is.
to you, but it's just reality.
Okay, so I don't see that. If they make changes to a character and make it their own, it's their IP. That they own that.
No, I don't know how you believe that. That's just not true. I mean, seriously, like there are movies about the Ten Commandments. There are movies about the Egyptian gods. They don't own them. They can't. Anybody can take advantage of that. They're public domain. There's no way around that. You can't do that. It's not a possibility. There's plenty of things on Roman gods, right? So for instance, some movie is made about Hercules. Are you saying that's the end? Nobody can make a Hercules movie? Of course they can. Of course they can.
Okay, somebody in the chat said it's the God of War IP they own, not the specific character, but the God of the game itself, God of War.
Well,
So,
they can own the franchise, but they can't say it's an IP of theirs because, unfortunately, it's based on public domain characters. Again, the same thing like Thor. You're saying like, oh, you know what? There's a Thor comic book. Therefore, nobody else can make a Thor movie. Of course you can. Of course you can. It's public domain. There's no way around this. It is what it is.
I don't know about that. Who said that to begin with? Who was it?
Herman Hulst is the one.
No. Who's
They-
the one that told you that they don't own any other IP?
No, I figured it out. I'm like, wait a second. He's right. I'm looking at their franchises and I'm like, oh shit. Because I can't look if Last of Us was more relevant, I would say, hey, that's Last of Us has got to be their biggest IP, right?
Well, it is bigger than Horizon. It is bigger than
would have
Horizon.
been if Last of Us 2 didn't epically fail. So and it still did
Wait,
sell
hold
about
up. How did it
10
epically
million.
fail? How did it? The Last of Us 2,
They were expecting-
despite I don't like it, it didn't fail by any measure.
It epically failed to meet its expectations, right? So it's all about 10 million, which is not bad, but it's a good amount of sales. But they were expecting much more based on Last of Us 1, which sold like 25, 30 million copies. So they did way better on that one. And that's why you keep seeing the remakes of Last of Us 1. They keep remaking that over and over and over and over again because Last of Us 2 did not do as well. And they're trying to make that back, but unfortunately, like people that half did resonate and half didn't.
I'll tell you this:
IP kind of diminished.
the Last of Us franchise is above them, and they own that IP exclusively.
Completely, of course, that's
Yeah.
theirs. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it is. So I'm trying to take it from Herman's perspective and saying, well, Last of
I'm
Us 2
telling
kind
you,
of went.
when Herman Holtz said
okay.
that, he was saying it based on his own bias, because he was from Guerrilla Games. He helped make Horizon Zero Dawn.
And that's what I was thinking. I was
Yeah,
thinking the same
it's his
thing. I was
own
like,
bias.
that's bullshit.
It's
He's
his
just
own
doing that
bias.
because he's from Guerrilla. That's just a bunch of crap. Then I'm like, wait.
And despite what I think about Horizon Forbidden West, it's still sold quite a bit. And it is a big IP for them. It really is.
That's the thing.
And
And they have a Lego game coming. And I'm like, dude, he's probably right. I think he's right, which is weird. I wouldn't have thought that. I would think like, oh, they have all these old IPs, all this stuff. This is the most important. I'm like, wait a minute. Those other IPs don't sell. If I sold the Twisted Metal game, they didn't even
I
bother
really
putting it
think
out.
he just said that because he's biased. And he probably personally really does think that. Remember, Herman was the guy that did not like Days Gone at all.
Correct.
He hated
Now,
Days Gone.
is not bigger than Horizon.
No.
We have to be fair, right?
But I personally like Days Gone better than Horizon Forbidden West, and so did a lot of other people. If we, I don't know. I think if we pulled 100 people and we asked them, do they own the IP for God of War? I think 90% of them
They'd be
would probably
dumb.
say yes.
They'd be dumb because you can't own that. That's not a possibility. But whatever. I mean, people can have stupid opinions. That's fair.
I don't
But
know,
it's
man.
just a reality to things, right? You can't say I own, a King Solomon. No, you can't own King Solomon. Sorry, that's not an option, right? You can make whatever you want around these things, but that's the way it is, right? Are you going to tell me that, once Assassin's Creed Shadow comes out, that Yasuke is now locked to freaking Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft? What?
No.
Not a possibility.
But I don't think that's how it works, and that's not the way I'm processing it. Well, the way I process it is
that is what you're saying. It's 100% what you're saying. He's the main character of the game.
Yeah, once they make a game, that game is their IP. So that would be their biggest IP or bigger IP than Horizon.
You can't make it your IP.
They own the game. They don't own Kratos. They don't own that. They own the game, which is their franchise, their IP. They own that. No. That's how it works.
You can trademark a work of art, right?
Am I wrong, chat? Am I wrong? I don't understand.
Wrong.
If they make a game, they own that IP.
No, they don't own the IP.
They don't own the character, but they own the IP.
Wrong. Star Wars Outlaws, they own the IP? Think about what you're saying. It makes no consistent sense. It's not possible. The IP is owned by the IP owner. That's the way it is. And in the case of a public domain figure, you can't own it. Nobody can own Abraham Lincoln. Sorry, you can't.
I'm looking at it from the game itself. That's what I'm looking at.
And I'm trying to make that as clear as possible. There's so many licensed games, they don't own the IP. That's the way it goes. You can't own a public figure. That's not a possibility.
I'm not talking about the character himself. It's when they create a game based on that character. They own
the franchise. They can own the copyright to the franchise, but they can't own the IP of that character because it's not possible.
I wish that we had somebody who maybe a games lawyer or something to tell us about this, because I'm just, I don't know. It's like, I'm not saying you're crazy in this, like some people in the chat might, but I think that what you're saying, it kind of makes sense, but I don't want to believe it because it just doesn't make sense to my. It doesn't make sense to my brain at all.
Which is why I'm like, Herman's right. I can't believe he's right. It's kind of funny to me, but it is what it is. Hey.
By the way, we have a guest in the house, Colt Eastwood. What's up, Colt?
Hey, everything normal?
Yes.
I'm like just like sitting down. Mic's working and everything.
Yep.
Yes.
So we're having an argument here. Herman Hulst,
I'm like totally lost.
When Herman Hulst said that Horizon Forbidden West, or Horizon, the franchise, was their biggest IP, Hargeet says he's right because they own no other IP.
No. That is not what I said. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's what you were saying.
I said they don't own Spider-Man.
They don't own the Spider-Man RP or God of War.
They don't own Kratos.
Yeah.
Correct. They don't own Kratos.
I would argue and say that The Last of Us kills that.
Kratos? I thought they own God of War franchise.
You can't the franchise. They can't own Kratos, right? Because it's a public domain figure.
Okay.
So from an IP perspective, Herman's right? And I was looking at the other big ones. To me, was like, well, what
The
about
Last
Uncharted?
of Us beats it.
What about Ghost of Tsushima?
Uncharted
What about
even
Los
beats it to me.
And I'm like, but with Last of Us, okay, they kind of had a middling thing with Last of Us Part 2, and that might put it in jeopardy. So we don't know where that's going to be. Factions failed miserably and got canceled. So what's going on with that? I don't even know. What about Uncharted? Well, Uncharted, Nathan Drake's story was supposedly kind of ended. And now we might get something new. We might not. We don't even know. We don't even know where that's going. They probably do, right? Herman must know what's going on. So I'm like, hold on. What if he's right? So then you have Ghost of Tsushima. And I'm like, okay, Ghost of Tsushima 1 was great. It doesn't match Horizon, though, unfortunately. And then Ghost of Yotai.
Yeah, that's what I was...
We got that reaction. Like,
okay, so Broken Games said exactly what I was trying to say, is they don't own Kratos, but they own the game. The God of War IP.
I would say God of War is an IP.
No, it's not the
intellectual
IP.
Property.
It's the trademark to the game.
It's an IP, though.
You can't own the IP. No, it's not an IP. Intellectual property requires you
God
to
of
have
War
access
is an IP.
to the intellectual property.
So
hold
it's
on.
2 against 1 here. Me and Colt think it
Well, I
is.
mean, we're just giving our personal
not how it
opinion.
works.
Yes, we are. We are.
Broken Games, you and I agree that it's an IP, but Hargeet might be right, but I would definitely consider it an IP that they own and they run.
I would consider it a franchise that they own 100%. But
yeah, I mean,
I
but
don't think they
franchise and
can
IP
say it's their
are it's so interchangeable in this discussion. It's kind of not worth
Is it?
distinguishing
Is it?
it. I don't. Yeah, sure.
Battlefront,
I mean,
Star Wars Battlefront
I
is
would
a
say
franchise.
I
Star
would
Wars
say-
Battlefront is a franchise, but they don't own
I don't
the
think-
IP.
yeah,
Oh.
and Xbox right now they have a portion of the franchise for Indiana Jones, and it's part with one game. They don't own
But
the
they
IP.
don't own that IP.
They don't own
the
that IP. They're just borrowing it. But I would say, for the
Exactly.
sake of an argument of what if her, I don't know if you guys were talking about
I was going
Hiroki
over
and
what
Herman
Holst
Holst saying we
said,
don't.
right?
Maybe it was Herman Holst that said we don't have enough IP for a showcase. He was definitely
No,
not
that-
thinking, well,
that
we
was
can't
Her-
count
that was
Kratos. I think he just says, as a whole, they have. I'm just gonna guess they have like 6 to 8 strong IPs, and they've already put out most of those. Horizon, which they have more Horizon games, so that wouldn't count. Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, Uncharted, Last of Us, Gran Turismo. They have a few more that are. I think they have a lot, but they've put out all of them mostly already. Like every franchise that they're currently using, they have put them out already this generation. And they probably have some other things in the works. And Returnal's
Look,
going to get
I'm
another
just
game.
saying there's some potential truth to what he's saying. I took it as he's just biased, right? That's how I took it. And I'm like,
That's how I
Who,
did.
Herman?
Yeah, Herman's just biased. He came from
it's Herman
Gorilla.
Holst who said this, right? It's their most important IP. And like,
Oh, when he
or maybe
says
said
that Horizon's their biggest,
Yeah, they're most.
yeah, I
important.
would agree
Yeah.
that their biggest IP would probably be Last of Us.
Yeah, that's what I
my
would
guess.
say. That's
And,
what I
and
would say.
then
What
I'm
about
like,
you,
wait a
Hargeet?
minute, is Last of Us at the same level anymore? And so that's why I'm like, maybe he's right. And of course, he's gonna know internally what's going on because he now runs all the studios. And I'm like, well, what if he's right? Maybe he's right. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm just trying to give him credit, but whatever. But I don't see how you can count Spider-Man. That's not their IP. That's certainly not their IP. But they do have a franchise.
They
around
own
it.
the game,
That's
though. They
fair.
own the games, the Spider-Man games. They
Correct.
own those
The
games.
franchise around
Yeah,
it. They have those games.
Yeah,
And
they
then
own that
the same
IP.
thing with God of War. They have a franchise around it. That's fair, but they can't own the IP of it because
Lord
they don't
Karth,
Kratos.
no, I don't agree. He said either way, Sony sucks. No, they don't.
Well, that's true.
I love that
Sony
you
does
have
suck.
Fit Master Chief in the corner of your overlay. Like you
Oh,
like,
of course. For today, I've got Master
Yeah.
Chief there. I change it up now. Who I have there. So
Either way, Sony sucks.
let's go ahead and talk about this. Rumors are spreading like wildfire when it comes to Ubisoft. I mean, their stock plummeted. They've delayed games. Hargeet, what is going on with Ubisoft right now? Are they going to be bought out by Tencent?
Well,
and is Tencent evil, the evil bad company?
They decided to go license Star Wars, which was probably a terrible idea. And unfortunately for them, that game didn't sell, which is doubly bad. I mean, that sucks. Their last few games have also been commercial failures. When's the last time they had did Mirage do okay? I don't even think that did okay. I know the Prince of Persia side scroller that did terribly. It did not meet their financial. I don't think it made a profit. Pandora, I don't think that did well at all. So they've been having like a whole bunch of failures. Skull and Bones was a massive fail.
Then of course all the
X-Defiant,
issues with Assassin's
Not
Creed,
going
all the
anywhere.
backlash.
it kind of sucks
So-
because Mirage was pretty good. It didn't score very well. Like
Yeah.
it ended up being a pretty good
I liked
game.
it.
And and Prince of Persia, like everyone who plays it loves it, and it didn't sell, which really sucks. Like they did what they were supposed to, create something new and exciting
Yeah.
from their franchises. And then Avatar was worse than the first game in the 360 PS3 era, which I adore, which is also like
Wow.
a 72.
That's
I adore
bad.
that game. You didn't like it?
I haven't even played it yet. So I don't know.
I mean, I was talking about it's not as good as the one on the 360 and PS3. It was called I think it was just called James Cameron Avatar. and it was open world. You played
remember
as
if I
the
played that
Navi
one.
or the NDA. I think that's what they call them. RDA is the.
Already,
Oh my gosh! It's
I
showing
don't even
shadows. It
remember.
looks so cool.
Shadows does look good.
Gosh, and Yasuke
that's
looks like such a cool
delayed.
character.
I was
And
excited
now
for the
we don't
game.
know where that's
Or
gonna,
you don't get an opinion
go.
because you don't like Assassin's Creed anymore.
You don't get an opinion.
Correct, I
'cause
don't.
it-
I
No,
don't.
I
I
know.
don't.
No,
I
you-
can't. After Valhalla, I'm so like annoyed with Assassin's
I
Creed.
know. Valhalla was a
Um,
bit too long, but
Yeah,
So,
I don't
you know,
even
look-
think. Yeah, go ahead, Hargeet.
So I was just gonna say, as far as like their financials, it's gonna be a problem for them. I don't know if this is like all just at like the head of the whole thing, right? The Guillermo family, or Eve specifically. It could be. It could be, you know, like they used to have the one guy that kind of took care of all the games, right? That was kind of coordinating all the games. Since they fired that person because of some controversies, they haven't really been doing very well after that. Sadly, it is what it is, right? So I don't know if that's the tipping point where it started to not become as good financially, that is, right? Or if it's just coincidence. But that is kind of a problem, and they're now at a point of trying to figure out how do they stay solvent. 20,000 employees it's quite ridiculous. Consider that ABK is that big, and you know, like, dude, that's just. How do you sustain when you don't have something as big as Call of Duty or Overwatch or something like, or Warcraft? They don't have those kind of games that's gonna, or King for that matter, right? With Candy Crush, to bring in that kind of money. Their revenues are way smaller. I don't know how they sustain that number of employees. It's pretty ridiculous.
So what do you think happens next for them then? Do you think they get sold?
I don't think
get bought out?
Tencent's going to be allowed to buy them. I think
Really?
the governments are going to say no. I think there could be some structured deal where through some loans, some, I don't know, partial share ownership with Tencent or something like that, that they go private. That is a possibility. Do they stay public? Again, until they can resolve their financials, it's going to be a problem. Either way, I would really expect a massive set of layoffs. I think they're going to have to clean house a bit. There's just really no way around it. They have to clean things up to make it better. Even if they wanted to try to sell Ubisoft, that would require them to kind of clean that whole thing up. Now, the funny thing is, it's not like they're not profitable. They are. They are still making, you know, net revenue that's okay. It's just not where they want to be. You know, fair enough. So that's something they're gonna just have to contend with. I don't know what's gonna happen as far as their employee base, but I just have a feeling it's gonna get cleaned up. That just seems like the next direction. Now, as far as potential to buy out, right, for who might be able to acquire them, if Tencent's going to be blocked, which I think they will be, it won't be one of the platform holders. Microsoft's barred from buying them. Nintendo is going to have no interest in doing this. Sony is actually an awesome fit. Unfortunately, Sony has so many problems. I don't think they're going to be able to get them because I don't think Sony corporate is going to say, oh yeah, after you wasted money on Bungie, after you wasted money on Firewalk, after we have no idea what you're going to get with Haven, yeah, we're not giving you money. So you can screw off. So I don't think they're going to have an easy time trying to buy them. It's a good opportunity. And if they had, like, if it was the Sony of PS2 era, that'd be perfect because they could fix this shit, right? But I don't know if the Sony of today actually is in that position because they have a lot of their own problems right now. So they kind of have to fix their own house. It's going to be tough for them to go in and try to fix
It
this
honestly
20,000 employee thing.
It seems like every
just don't
AAA developer and publisher outfit is having serious issues.
They're having issues.
AAA
it's kind of grown
is
to the point
tough.
of like hitting a ceiling.
I think it's partly because it's so expensive to develop these AAA games, and also
it takes so long.
Yeah, and they take forever. And I think it's one of the reasons why we've seen Halo come out and say, hey, they're switching engines because it'd make it a bit better for them, especially. Let's just get it. I don't even want to talk about Ubisoft anymore. Honestly, I've talked about Ubisoft for the last month. All right, they're going to do what they're going to do. They delayed a game. It sucks.
Yeah.
I can't play it. Colt can't play it. But F them, okay? They made their bed. Now they're going to lie in it, and it is what it is, man.
They have anything coming up this holiday?
I don't think so. I think Ubisoft's pretty much dead right now.
Wow.
The problem with Ubisoft,
But
half
let's
of their
talk about-
games I really like, and the other half I never would touch. Like, I don't care about Steep, Slope, Ride Republic, riding bike, skateboard racers, and I don't care about Skull and Bones, and I don't care about For Honor and stuff like that. And I didn't play Rainbow Six. Like, they had stuff that was really great, that did really well, that I don't care about. Then they have stuff that I have always loved, and then they have all these games that completely flop. Like, I was thinking about Skull and Bones. I'm like, what could they do? Like, the world told them during previews. Like, everyone who previewed, the media, the fans, everyone cried out with one voice, saying, this is not going to make it. This is going to suck. And they can't just say, well, we don't want to put out a bad product, so we're going to scrap it. I kind of wish they would have, and I wonder if sometimes flushing that money down the toilet would have saved them in the end. But when I take a step back and look at Ubisoft, they make more variety of games than most publishers. They have all kinds of weird games, and they try to like do all these things to strike gold, and some of their stuff just doesn't do very well.
Well, they used to be monsters at publishing. They used to be able to pick out great games and publish them. Even if they didn't make the games, they would publish some incredible games back in the day. They no longer do that. They no longer
they published
do that.
Big games that didn't even belong to them. They were really amazing, but they just don't listen to the fans. I think it's been their downfall. I'm super excited about the Assassin's Creed franchise. I like the new RPG style.
I do too.
Fonz and I really do. But when their fans have been saying for a decade, where the F is Splinter Cell, and they're like, they stick them in Wildlands and they put them in all these little. It's like, you're not listening.
They're making a new one, correct? They announced
supposedly.
No.
By the way, if you're here and you're listening to the show and you like what you hear, please hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. I don't do that often, but I just noticed the likes were kind of low, and I was like, hey, hit the like button. You remember when games used to come out at developers and publishers used to put out games at a great cadence back in the day, like 2 to 3 years, we'd have a new game from a great freaking GTA. There was like a GTA every couple of years back in the day. And then all of a sudden it took 8 years. It's just game development it's come a long way. We're getting some great. We're getting some great mechanics, great visuals and stuff, but damn, the length of time it takes and the amount of developers it takes nowadays to make these games is insane. And the budgets are ballooning like crazy. So I get why a lot of these AAA developers are having or are in financial turmoil, but I mean, what's gotten them to this point though? What is the overall issue and why we're here? And games
I have a whole video on this. I've been complaining about this for years. It's because people want graphic fidelity. That's it. It takes a lot of time to create assets that make the game look fantastic. That's it. It's what it takes. Unfortunately, if you didn't care for all that, you'd get games sooner. But everybody wants everything to look like it's the best thing.
It's
ever.
funny you say that's what they want, but they're also not selling like they used to as well. Games are not selling that well, AAA games especially. And I think a lot to do with that has to do with something that I complained about that, by the way, Broken Games, if he's still in the chat, he was one of the guys who laughed at me and everybody else that was complaining at the beginning of this generation when we went to $70 games. I had stated unequivocally, that is too much for these games. It's ridiculous that we're paying this much for games. And you could say, well,
right.
With the ballooning budgets and stuff like that, they need to do this. But if they're not selling,
the numbers are down.
What's the extra $10 going to do for them if they're not selling?
And that came out. They saw that volumes are down, revenue is slightly up because you got $70 instead of 60, but volume sales are down for the same franchise games.
They're like breaking even, damn near. And it's like
they're making a little bit more because of the
I think-
$70. They're selling fewer, but they're getting a little bit more.
But I think
there is
they
going
would
to be a
have
breaking
sold.
point.
Here's the thing, though.
It's
I think that they would have
definitely lower
sold.
volume.
I think that they would have sold more had they just kept the price at 60. I honestly
60.
think
possibly
more games would be selling today, especially with these AAA games.
Be interesting to see if they go the opposite direction, right? As that was what Sony was recommending, right? Let's make them $50, but we'll
Oh,
split the
yeah.
game in 3. So you'll buy it 3 times.
Yeah,
to get
that's
the
something
same
they
game.
did talk about. And
Yeah.
maybe that is what the industry needs is people really only want the 20-hour game, sell it to them for 50, and then give them another $50 game in a couple of years instead of making them wait 5 to 6 years for the next one for 70.
Exactly.
And then, I mean, I bet they look at the telemetry and they're like, people only like, here's the large group of people. I'll do a
Oh, here we
a large
go.
group of people only play a game for 20 hours. I bet there's like a graph that says that, right, Hargeet? That the majority of players play the game for 20 hours instead of 40 to 60, right? And like people like us, especially Fonz and I, we'll put in the 60, 62
100
hours
plus hours
to a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, easily.
But not
I would
everybody
like
has the
it.
time, right? And that's the thing. It is better to have smaller chunks so you can actually get through the game in a small enough time, in a reasonable amount of time. So,
Well, let me
I
ask
think
you
I'm sure
guys.
they're seeing the telemetry.
Let me ask you, would you rather have let's say Spider-Man 3 is coming out. Would you rather have that's kind of hard to say. Would you rather have because like Fawn's like, we didn't like Spider-Man 2 that much.
No,
Would
I
you
didn't.
rather have the next game be $50 and it's 20 hours plus a little extra if you do that, go get the backpacks and the pigeons, and then get the sequel in 2 years, or would you rather pay 70 and get the 40 plus hour experience and wait 4 to 5 years for the next sequel? I'm really about like, I think I would really like 50, but I think that where PlayStation is right now, they may say that, but they have every right to say, we don't have to. We'll sell you the game for $70 and we'll make you wait 5 years and we'll sell you the sequel for $70. But
I mean,
I don't know if that business model is going to work for them. I think they do
I
want to
think
trim it down.
I think in games where it's viable as RPGs, you could do something like that where it's more about the world itself that takes up the time, right? But I don't know if it's viable in cinematic experiences, because a lot of that is you'd have to go get actors and pay them for all that content, and that's just massive amounts of money, right? So could Starfield be shorter? Maybe, but Starfield is fine with the amount of content. It'd be better if it had more content, right? So I think it just depends on the game. Cyberpunk's a pretty long game, but it has a good amount of content. It's fun.
I think there's that other elephant in the room too that may be a contributing factor for the a lack of sales is the fact that some of these games just aren't very good. A lot of AAA games just simply don't come out as expected. Not just broken and buggy, which is a trend, but also games that just aren't very good. Look at Star Wars Outlaws. And I know we have some people out there that actually love the game. I saw somebody in a thread say that that's their game of the year, and it blew my mind, but it's like, okay, it's an opinion.
Wow.
But I think Star Wars Outlaws is horrible. I tried to play it, and I don't see
it
any
last night.
I don't see any redeeming factor in that game at all. And that's a huge franchise. And by, Ubisoft, a big company, you would think that a game like this would be easy to just put out there and sell a boatload of. But when the game comes out and it just doesn't hit on any level, it's a stealth game, yet the stealth sucks. And it's a big open world game, yet the open world sucks. Like, what are we doing? A lot of games are like
Red
that.
Dead 2. They were internally calling it Red Dead 2.
Oh, that's a slap in the face to Red Dead 2.
Wow.
It's nothing like
Really?
Red Dead 2. Its open world is
that's like
fucking
Concord of Star
lacking.
Wars, right? That was what they were
You
saying.
drive around
Star
on your
Wars
speeder
game.
bike and you get shot at. You're not even doing
Wow.
anything wrong. It's awful. And then after the patch, the game was running at 30 frames on my Series X for like a minute straight.
Yeah, I was on
like,
the
"Is this
phone
bugged?"
with you
I
when
went
that
to the
happened.
home and came back and it was still running like that. I was like,
Yeah, I was on the
"Jeez."
phone with you, and you go, "What's going on with my game? It's like 30 frames." And he's like, "Man, that was like a whole minute of 30 frames." I was like, "Dang."
It wasn't like a dip. It was just like the game was like, I don't know what to do.
And trust me, you tried to play that game a lot longer than I did. I gave up on it pretty quickly. As soon as I got to the first
2 or 3 hours.
When I got out in the open world and I saw how the open world was, I was like, no. Especially because I had just played Red Dead 2. And playing through a game that does the open world right, and then going to that mess, I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
I mean,
This
it's
is
unfair to compare Red Dead to that, right?
why? That game's from 2018.
But it's Rockstar.
It's 2024. Get good. I don't know, Ubisoft.
Wow.
I don't know.
Man.
I don't know. Ubisoft sucks.
It's funny, they
let-
probably have more people at Ubisoft than freaking Rockstar. But anyway,
yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about a good thing. Let's talk about Halo and the new Halo Studios. 343 is dead, no longer in existence. Everybody,
before we go to that, I think should we talk about the thing that Colt wanted forever, which is third
What's
person
that?
mode?
Oh yeah. So they have a third
Already
person
knows.
mode now. Colt,
Yeah.
what do you think about third person in Halo?
Apparently, it won't be for. Sorry, Red Wolf in the chat, who's also like, please. I heard it's probably not going to be for campaign, which is the dumbest thing ever. I'm going to venture to bet it probably gives you that mode on campaign. But somebody said it's only going to be certain modes that have third person, and it's already there. It was like people are like, why are they wasting their time on third person mode? It's already there. Like it already works with turrets, and it already works with animations, and it's already there. It already works. In fact, one of the most popular mods on PC for Halo Infinite.
Hey, hold up. Albert G said, could someone on the panel please tell me, don't answer guys, which AA single player game that made as much money as Wukong, God of War, or Spider-Man 2? Bet you can't. Notice he said single player game, because you know how many AA games wiped the floor with that out there that have lots of
Which
money has been spent on
single player games made as much money as
microtransactions and
Wukong?
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what.
What's
You
a
said
double
don't
A
answer it.
game? Yeah.
Don't answer
What's
it,
a
but-
double A game?
Yeah, I know one game that came out this year that was
what is it?
dirt cheap to make and made a killing.
What was that?
I think Pal World probably made as much money as Spider-Man 2.
But it doesn't
Spider-Man
count
2
by his standard. He's asking for single player game only. So
Oh yeah.
he's got to make sure the goalpost is set up just right. Yeah. Because
Well,
I mean, you
so
got games like Minecraft
why
and
do you-
everything just destroy
Why
it.
do you want a single player game to prove a point? Like the games industry
That's not
right
the point.
now.
Yeah, it's not
the
about
games
just
industry
single player.
thrives on whatever the fudge is great. Like Hades was amazing. It sold like crazy. And
Yeah,
is
you know
it
why
a-
he did
is it an
that?
online
You know
game or
why he
single
did
player
that?
game?
Because
It's a good game.
Concord was a fail for Sony, and he didn't want to bring up multiplayer games because they fail at it lately. They fail at
Oh
it.
yeah, they're pretty
That's
bad.
the only reason why he didn't
The
bring
only
it up.
reason, I mean, they didn't make Helldivers. It's a first party published game, but another studio
But
made
yeah,
it and
it's a
struck
second-party
gold
game.
with Helldivers.
Exactly.
But
I
would
guess
like to
is
see
God of War or
PlayStation
Spider-Man
doesn't know-
double A?
No,
Like
no.
why are we
kinda weird.
saying this?
No,
I don't
it's
even
not.
understand.
Because when we were talking about how AAA space is expensive and it's not making as much money as it could have, you know, when we were talking about, you know, the $60 versus $70 game, you know, all that stuff.
Udani
You've already
brings up
said
an
that it's
interesting
making
point.
a little bit more because of that extra $10. I don't know why you're bringing that up, to be honest, but.
Yeah, and I guess Udani brings up an interesting point.
Yes,
Baldur's Gate
Concord
3
is definitely your
probably-
Concord is way worse than your Redfall because Redfall you can still play today, and they are still playing it
Yeah,
today.
no, Concord.
So it's-
Concord doesn't come close to Redfall, dude.
Concord is the
really
biggest flop in gaming history. The biggest flop in gaming history. Nothing comes close to that.
It is because in 1983 dollars, I'm pretty sure that the ET Atari game didn't cost equivalent
no.
of
No. it
of
didn't.
eight,
No,
800,000 or 800. What was it? 800
It's
billion.
400 million
dollars?
plus
What did they
acquisition.
spend on
Billion.
it? 800
You said
million or
billion.
something? I know, I was joking. What was it?
It's so ridiculous.
Colin Moriarty claimed it was 800 million, Hargeet?
Did
No,
he
it's
really?
400 million to make.
Okay.
I thought it was
It's 400 million
yeah.
to make, plus acquisition cost, plus marketing cost.
That's a big
No,
flop.
I mean-
It doesn't even matter. You had me at 400 million. It's the biggest flop ever. Nobody cares. Just like nobody cares, you know, to really freaking answer those
Yodani
weird
brings up
questions.
an interesting point that Baldur's Gate 3, technically, that's probably
It is a double A game. It's a double A game,
and,
but
it did really well.
But it's also co-op though.
It's co-op, and that's so. I guess that makes it not.
It doesn't count.
It's
doesn't
a
count.
fine fudge if it's single player or not. Like,
Yeah,
it
doesn't
even
matter.
It doesn't
Games-
matter.
Yeah.
The games industry thrives much more today on multiplayer games and co-op games than they do on single player games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And I'm a single player gamer. I prefer single player
Let's not
games.
talk about Starfield DLC, Albert G. Yeah, it sucked. Starfield's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with. I mean, is that a topic? No, they dropped the ball. They need to innovate with that. They're one of the. Come on, you need to do better.
Yeah, and this is the kind of stupidity you're going to get from those folks because they don't have anything else to say. Go play your Concord. Have fun, bud.
Super chat from Yodani Casada. What's up, Yodani? He says E.T. at least had a physical grave for it to die.
Yeah.
It did. It did.
How
It
do
was the
you bury-
landfill. It was there in the
How do you bury
landfill.
32
Yeah.
digital copies of Concord. The only ones it sold 32 copies only. That's all it sold now. I'm just kidding.
That's right, Albert. Colt is always right, and you're always wrong.
Nah, I am
Wah,
rarely
wah, wah,
right.
wah.
I'm rarely right. I'm only right about 80% of the time. Well, that's good.
So
That's
we're talking
the
about.
greatest thing about the internet is the 20% times you're wrong. Oh man, they wave it like a flag. They tie it to a
Of
plane and they run it across the sky. Colt
Yes.
said you don't need any RAM in your PC. You know,
Because there are certainly people in the world who
funny
are
about
like,
that.
gods who never make a mistake and then claim, I am always right.
no, I mean they don't have an audience,
Uh-huh.
so it doesn't matter if they don't say anything right. It's so funny that I made that mistake because a year ago you and I were on the phone. I'm like, I need more RAM on my PC, and you're like, how much do you have? And I go, oh my gosh, you only have 16. And I got on Amazon and immediately ordered 64 gigs of RAM, yanked those out of there and upgraded, and then
Yeah.
I made the bill, plopped it. It's like Destin the Gary the other day lapsed on his knowledge that 343 Guilty Spark is a character in Halo 1, and everybody like they put out the pitchforks for him. So yeah, the internet trolls, they're not real people. All right, what do you got? What else you got, Fonz?
Well, they're
we're
real
talking
people,
about
they're
Halo.
just sixth graders.
We're
'Cause
talking
they
about
don't have the
Halo,
mentality of an adult.
and we got sidetracked. Remember, we're talking about Halo, the new team, the new studio, Halo Studios, no longer 343. I mean, so from what I've been gathering here, looking into it a bit more, a lot of the people that were even making Halo Infinite are gone from 343. There are a lot of new people there as well. There is some fresh blood excited about making the next Halo and going into these Halo projects, if you will, because that's what they're talking about. Multiple projects in the works. They have, it's not new, but Pierre Hintz or Hintz, I'm not sure how you say it. Pierre.
No, Gaz gave us the correct pronunciation today.
Did he? I did not hear it.
Hold on, I'm staring off as I try to remember. Oh, it's on the phone with him. It's
Pierre Hinson?
Hensei. Thank you.
Hintz? Well, this
Yeah,
man,
Mike, ask me the question if you're going to do it. Just ask me the question. I'll give you the answer. I'm not going to tap dance around it. I'm here live on a podcast. You should try it sometime.
yeah. So he
Bring me on next
basically.
week.
Man,
you
they're
probably go-
childish. Anyway,
So he's of course the head of the studio, been the head of studio since 2022. He took over when Bonnie left. Also, he's been around with the 343 team since 2018. He was the one that really helped and fixed the Master Chief Collection. So a lot of people look to him as being sort of the savior of Halo right now. They did that for Joseph Staten too when he came in, and he was like the guy that finished off Infinite, put it out there for the people, which Infinite was a good campaign. I had fun with Infinite. It wasn't a terrible campaign at all. The story wasn't awesome or anything, but the game itself was fun. It didn't come out as a complete product, and it overall was a fail in a lot of people's eyes. Not a Concord fail, but a fail nonetheless for Halo.
It didn't have enough
fans.
content after a month.
Yes,
Like
yes.
after a month, you're like, whoa, where's more content? it needed more content immediately.
And it seems like they've rectified that with the multiplayer and everything. Everybody's kind of playing it and saying it's a good game right now, multiplayer wise. I don't play the multiplayer, or else I would speak on that.
Yeah, I don't know either,
but I really haven't.
Happy with it.
I have many times. It's awesome. The multiplayer on that is so much
more than us.
You played once with us. You played Firefight, right? It was great.
What was the mode? I played it with Gaz where you're each on one end of the map and you come forward and there's like 10v10 or something. It was really popular last year and I played it with Gaz and it was like super sweaty. It was a new mode last year. Help me out, Chad, if you remember. It was like this word and it was, I don't know. Anyway, it was like on fire. People were loving the content when Pierre came in.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's been awesome. And look, the game's profitable. It's not like it wasn't making money. It just wasn't making what they wanted. And okay, fair enough. But it would be better if it had more players. That's obviously awesome. But it also is just Halo. I don't know why we need to.
Of course the one thing I didn't announce here anyway. You guys all heard it, but they moved from the Slipspace engine over to Unreal Engine 5. What do you guys feel about that? By the way, Hargi, how do you feel about that move?
That's it. Bull Spartan, Husky Raid. Thank you. Sorry, Hargi, go ahead.
Yeah, that was fun too. Husky Raid, I remember that one. So I think it's an interesting choice. The one concern I would have is frame rate, but it certainly looks good, right? Hey, UE makes it like UE just shows up. It's just so like beautiful, right? So if you spend the time making the game look good, it will look really good. But I just don't know what the frame rate's going to be. That's my main concern with that, right? It's I had 120 frames on Series X and S with the Slipspace engine, so we will see what they do with that. I hope at least at 60. If they can make it 120, that'd be fantastic. That would be my only concern. I wish they had waited until they owned Activision, because then they could take a look at the COD engine and see if that's a viable option. But you got to look at UE and say, man, it's just
that's what tripped me out. Honestly, at first I was like, why? Okay, so when Phil was talking about when they acquired id Tech and everything, he was talking about a possibility of having Halo using id. And I was wondering why that wasn't even an option in this scenario.
They want a large enough pool of developers that can keep helping them make the game, right? With COD, you can do that because the COD engine it's ubiquitous enough, because COD is like supported by so many support studios out in the world. So a lot of people know that engine. id Tech, it's a derivative of id Tech, right? But it has been changed quite a bit. So I think COD engine would be good, not to mention the fact that they have.
Oh, it is? COD engine is
COD
brand
engine
off
is an
the
id Tech derivative.
Yeah, it's
that's why it's so
based off
good.
id. Yeah.
But
Gosh,
like they also just
right. Why the heck didn't they do that? Why do they even need to own Activision to even tap into that idea?
Well, they have to license it from them, and I don't know if they were going to get that or not. But either way, but now they have it, and then they have the pool of Activision employees who know it in and out, right? And on top of that, there are so many sports studios that know the COD engine because they get tapped.
So why didn't they do something like that? Why do you think they moved to Unreal Engine 5?
This started a while ago, right? This started sort of in the Slipspace timeframe when they were trying to figure out what to do, right? And they've been toying with, can we get UE to match the physics of Halo? Yes or no, right? So that takes work. They've been trying to do that in parallel, but ultimately they decided, hey, we're going to go with the Slipspace and go, basically take it's Blam, I think, was the original engine, and make it a V2, and that's going to be called Slipspace. So they went with that and made Halo with it.
By the way, really quick, I do want to I do want to mention this really quick though, because I want to get it out there for the people to hear. I am not opposed to them moving to Unreal Engine 5, because honestly, I think it's a good thing to move away from the Slipspace engine. That was a mess, and it's too much for them. Just as they said in that little video documentary thing, that they were more like a developer and a tech developing outfit, where they had to deal with Slipspace and the game itself, building upon the game. They didn't want to do that. So I get it. I get that aspect. But it's the move to Unreal Engine 5 that I find kind of interesting, because there are problems along with going to Unreal Engine 5. Sure, you open up the pool to developers out there, contractors and such, and that's a whole nother issue. But it's also an engine that still has some kinks, still has little problems here and there. You still have that traversal stutter that's in every UE5 game that they're going to have to deal with. They got to contend with that. Even Hellblade 2, as great as that was, it still had the traversal stutter. Gears E-Day, it probably,
we'll see, right?
Yeah, it probably will.
That's gonna be the big question. Will Coalition be able to fix it?
Yeah, will 343 or Halo Studios.
Things, it's not minor, I suppose, but these are the little things that I'm a little more concerned about. The flip side is you now open up your pool of talent.
And it's bloated too. It's very bloated. So you've got that to contend with. You have to. Yeah. Can you get your games to 120? Can you stay steady at 60? We gotta see that.
Big question. This is the big question, right? So, and this could have been why it was taking so long to get to this level, is that they would have to work with Epic to make it work the way they want. So it's just an interesting thing. And I'm assuming that Coalition's been working on trying to make it work for their game as well, right? So that E-Day will come out good. But it's been a while for Coalition too, right? When was it? 2018? Is that one? Or 2019? When did Gears 5 come out? It's been a while now, right? So and we're not tentatively looking at that. Has not gotten announced, right? So that we don't know it's coming. It's not coming 25, probably coming 26, right? I believe, right? Next year it's Doom, Fable, South of Midnight, Avowed, right? That's what they've announced. So I'm gonna guess 26. So you're looking at what, 8? Like, was that 8 years before they come up with the game? So they must be working on that engine to make it work right. Right. So all the things you're talking about, Fonz, that's the problem, right? UE is great, but it brings with it a bunch of little issues, right? Which is where like people complain about slipspace, but I'm like, dude, I play Halo and it's just fluid. It's just that's the thing. Like, I love the 120 frames. It's on a console. It gives me 120 frames. Forget on PC, right? Play it on PC and it's even better.
Oh,
I think that's the thing. I'm like, hopefully it's, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's all right. We lost him for a minute here. We'll go to this screen until he gets back. Go ahead.
But that's what I'm a little concerned about. But then again, look, I hope they understood that, and you can kind of get that from the video that they want to keep the essence of Halo right intact. So hopefully that's what they've been working on, is making UE work the right way, and you get the right frame rate, and you get the right feel of Halo. So yeah, that is my main concern. Outside of that, man, does it look good. Holy crap. Those visuals look pretty impressive. So we'll see what that means.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so I'll talk about that for a second. The environments that they showed look incredible on Unreal Engine 5. I agree. Look amazing. That flood level looks really, really cool. The only bad thing I would say about it, and I've been making fun of this and kind of projecting this out onto Twitter, really trying to put a spotlight on it anyway, is the way Master Chief actually looks. And that's why my thumbnail kind of looks the way he does, because it's kind of an over-exaggeration, of course, on what I perceive him to look like in that little trailer they made. Now, it's not the armor itself. Everybody keeps saying, that's the Mark V armor, Fonz. That's from the Halo CE. Yes, I know that. The Mark V armor is just fine. It's the way it's presented. It's the body shape. It's this kind of short, stubby-looking Master Chief. And then the overall plastic look of him in this thing. It looks more like a toy than actual the video game. It doesn't look right. And then the animation they showed was really bad. It almost looked like Lego animation or something, like stop motion animation. And when he comes over and he runs up and punches, I'm like, it just looks awful to me. And I put it out there because I wanted to like spotlight it and say, hey, this is not what we want. We don't want him to look like this. The armor's fine. He can wear the Mark V armor and it could be like Halo. But if you look at the original Halo, the Master Chief armor back in the day, he was way slimmer than this. It looked more badass, and just, no, this is not it. And that's kind of what I've been saying. And that's the only negative thing I have on this stuff, is the fact that I don't like the way it looks. And it's early. It's early.
Like, the weapon size to the character, you're right. It's not the same size. And
the proportions are wrong.
There is something to that. Yeah, and I hope they do fix that. because it really should be. And these are the kind of things that I'm a little worried about. Depending on like who you look at as far as the designing team, like, can you make sure it feels like Halo? It looks like Halo. I don't want it to be mucked with. Like, just leave it Halo, because there is a tendency to do stupid things.
Yeah. So there he is. Like, I'm showing it on the screen, and he just looks short and stubby to me. He just looks short and stubby. Right? That's all. Like, you see his torso and everything. It just doesn't look right. And then you see the original from Halo CE. He's more slim, especially in the middle. The thigh
looks dumb to me, but
yeah, the thigh section and stuff. He looks different. It's the proportions look better. Is all I'm saying.
Obviously, graphically, it's insanely better in the second.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right?
Obviously, the graphics are way better.
It's more the like proportionality. Like he's like 7'2", right? So
there's an actual proportion for when you make superheroes. There's a proportion where they the head has to be up like a whole head taller than normal. So you bring the head up to here. I know my camera's choppy, and I have no idea why.
You look like the animation in the promo.
Yeah, I have no idea, and that's funny. Hargy, we'll have to talk about why this does this sometimes. But anyway, it doesn't do this on my show. Anyway, the head has to be up here, and they make the torso much taller than a real person, and it's what makes people look so cool in fantasy things like this. And Master Chief is so stubby. And my issue with this, the backgrounds look amazing, but the character models look like they phoned it in, like they told the designers to create these 3D models immediately and get them on there because we can't just show some flowers and rocks.
I think that's what they did.
I would have made something so menacing and so cool, and he's out there in the sunshine like, and I know people are like,
good.
It looks so great.
It's
I don't
the
think
animation.
this looks amazing. I think Halo Infinite looks so. Yeah, go down. Keep going down. Go back to your post of him inside the Pelican from Halo Infinite.
Oh yeah.
I think that that looks so much better than the UE5 stuff. So much better.
Yeah. I agree. I think he looks way more badass in Halo Infinite than he does there. And I don't know. That's the one thing I just wanted to project out there and really put a spotlight on. And say, hey, this is not what we want right here. Please change this. Mark V armor is fine, but the way he looks, his proportions and everything is just off. But everything else, the scenery and everything, the environments look really good. The biomes. I'm really impressed with that stuff, and that stuff can be exciting, but. Yeah, one thing too, I have to say, I'm a big 343 hater. Okay, I've been like, I've been against 343 for many years. Okay, I did like the Infinite campaign. I've already talked about that, but I didn't like 4, didn't like 5. They brought me a decent campaign with Halo Infinite. I still think that they need to really like knock it out of the park. Whatever they do next with this, they need to hit every cylinder here. They need to get not only the campaign right, but the multiplayer for those that like the multiplayer. Make sure they've got a lot of content there the next time they put this out. And who knows? Maybe they'll split this up. I don't know what they're going to do because they're doing projects now, right? So are they going to kind of do different teams, one working on campaign, one working on multiplayer? I don't know how they're going to do this. And is that third person perspective going to be part of the campaign as well, or is that going to be just for the multiplayer? What are we going to see there?
They're going to find out. I bet they're going to find out. They're going to see how well that does and how popular it is, and see if that needs to be built in. I think it should be there anyway.
I think it should be there for the campaign too.
I think third person should be in there for people that want it. It's already ready to rock. Put it in there, and if you don't like it, don't choose it.
The one thing
I'm sick and tired of the purists.
Yes,
the Halo purists are ruining Halo and not allowing it to move forward. I think 343 is so afraid to hurt that core group of Halo fans that they did not allow a new generation of Halo fans to actually become a reality because they're so afraid of hurting their loyal fan base. And the one thing they did differently was they pushed forward with the grapple shot. The grapple shot's amazing. And look what, like, it was one of the favorite things of the game. And I'll bet you all those peers like, why are we doing this? Oh, it hurts my face to look at it.
Oh, yeah, because that's the one thing the purists are saying right now. I've been looking at forums on Reddit and stuff. A lot of them are saying they don't want the third player aspect because it won't feel like Halo. And I'm like, stop with this, because here's something that they're not going to want to hear, Colt. Here's something that they're not going to want to hear. But Xbox, listen to this. You're going to want to hear this. Halo Studios, you're going to want to hear this. You want to grow the franchise? You got to move on from the purists because they're not enough. Yep. They're not enough. It's obvious they're not enough. They're the ones playing the game now, and there's not enough of them to sustain this game forever like they want. Not enough to really bolster the revenue of Halo like it used to back in the day. And it doesn't have the respect that Halo did back in the day. Maybe it does from some of the purist standpoint, but again, there's not enough of those guys. You need to appeal to a wider audience. You have to. You have to.
So this is the part that's interesting, right? So Halo's audience, I don't think it's really changed that much. And because the original Halo, it was only so many people played it. It wasn't like it sold 30 million, 50 million or something like that. It didn't. But the world has shifted from there. That's kind of the problem, right? The number of players since the early 2000s has gone up dramatically, right? And so now you see games like Fortnite and you're like, well, hey, they have lots and lots of players. Why don't we get that, right? CSGO just continues to keep getting played. Millions of players every day. Like, how do you get to that level? Like, if that's what you want to do, then you're going to have to change what Halo is. It can't be an Xbox game. It has to be a normal multiplayer, third-party, everywhere game. It's a question of what the identity is. If you just want Halo to be sort of the flagship Xbox game, then you're going to have to concede that you're not going to be able to match those other IPs. But you have other IPs to take that on. You have Call of Duty, you have Overwatch, you have like other things that can do it. So you have to assume, like, hey, are you looking to get to that level or not? Because Halo was never intended to be that
I would argue,
unless you want to say it's third party.
I would argue that it's not even just the multiplayer, though. It's also the campaign itself. They need to grow this franchise together as a whole. They need to push out there,
make it even more. I mean, so how big were the other campaigns? They were probably about the same amount, right? So
I think,
I don't know.
I think what this needs is not a complete overhaul. Of course, you still want it to feel Halo, like Halo. But at the same time, you need to move it forward to a modern audience, and by saying modern audience, I don't mean by a specific group, 1%ers out there.
No, it just means
I'm talking
newer audience.
I think that a younger audience, new players to the series, and with that, you're going to have to concede a lot of things. You're going to have to move forward and say, okay.
So the question is, what do they want? Right, and I don't know what they want.
The question is,
it's a good question.
But here's the thing: what I do know they want is more revenue, and if you want more revenue, you're going to have to go after it. And I don't think you necessarily need to put it on PlayStation to get even more revenue. You can appeal to more people that are single-player minded, multiplayer minded. All these, you can gain a new audience on your platforms. With that being Steam and
sort of
Xbox.
How much do you expect it to sell for the campaign, I guess? What would you expect? Plus, remember, it's going to be a Game Pass as well. But
you got to think Steam and, Xbox, I don't know, 5-6 mil. I mean, if I'm thinking, conservatively,
yeah, so I mean that's realistic for what it's going to do,
But
right?
I think that they could do. I think they could do better than that. I really do. If they would move the whole franchise forward and do more with it. Now, what that is, I don't know specifically. Again, I like the third person aspect. I like that.
Yeah.
I think having the ability to control third person and going into first person when you like is awesome in games. I love that. And a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, especially Halo purists, but I like the open world aspect. I personally like it. I like having, different means of traversing the landscape. I like the different vehicles or being on foot with a grapple hook and things like that. It's fun to me. I like where they went with that in Infinite. By the way, I heard that Infinite 2 was in the pipeline, but they canceled it. There's a rumor anyway that was something that they were working on. I don't know if that was true, Colt. What you heard about that, right? The rumor that Halo Infinite 2 was being in the works, and
Yeah, Rebs Gaming on YouTube reported on that, and that would be a solid piece of information from him. He's connected to somebody that works at the studio.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, they canned it, which sucks. But I mean, it's so bad that they've basically rebooted Halo. They'll be doing it a third time because
what do you think they could do to move the
Or second
genre
time.
or the franchise forward, Cole? What can they do in the campaign or for you?
Marsh says it needs to be more linear. It needs to have more biomes. It needs to be more mature. It needs to be scary.
Well, is
It
that
needs
a
to be
big deal? Do you think it needs to be rated M?
I like that.
Because they
I
did
personally
switch
like
it, right? Originally, the originals were all M, right? And then they moved
Yeah.
it to T, right?
Yeah.
Taking out some
But to be
gore, the
fair,
blood.
the worst word was "damn it" and "hell" in the Halo games. I don't think they really.
But
had
I think
any
they also
swearing.
reduced some of
and
the
there's not
gore,
really-
right? So
No, but
Not
when you
really
think
any
about
gore.
the flood aspect of the original game,
Yep.
especially, it did have that horror element. It
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
It was way more mature back then than even Halo Infinite. I don't know.
which is also
I would
T,
like
right?
that move.
And that one's also T, I think.
Yeah, I would like that move to being more mature, more.
Okay.
You know, I even said on Twitter that I wouldn't mind having dismemberment in the game. Not saying that they'll do that,
Ooh, there you
but I would like it. I'd like to shoot some arms and legs off of elites and brutes and stuff.
I don't think they need dismemberment, but they do need to look at the game more in a more mature fashion than.
Holy
what they've done
crap!
before.
Got a huge
crap,
freaking
yeah,
super
exactly.
chat. Holy crap, dude! Not unnecessary, but thank you. I appreciate that. H2O. He says, "Holy crap!" He says, "Love and respect, bros." Fonz, Geet, Colt, question. And believe me, we're going to answer this question. I purchased a Legion Go for gaming on the go due to business commitments, wondering if my Xbox game purchases and save data sync via Game Pass across both platforms. Also, watched Atlas on Netflix and got Titanfall vibes from Dubai with love. Appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Look,
guys,
from what I
the
understand
Go.
is you will not get like a direct sync of Xbox saves. However, if the game allows cross save, right, cross progression, you can install it via Game Pass, and hopefully it'll cloud sync your saves to PC because it's the PC version, right? There are quite a few games that do, but there's also quite a few that don't. So you'll just have to see if it has cross progression. That's going to be the key there.
Interesting. And also, he says he watched Atlas. I did not hear about Atlas. It's got Titanfall vibes. That sounds cool. I'll have to check that out, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. He says good night in the chat. Good night, man. Thank you very much from California.
Yeah.
All the way in Dubai. He's chatted in here quite a few times in the past. Great guy. Thank you, H2O. I think I might have met him first or saw him first in Game On Daily. Go Live back in the day.
Oh, cool.
Great guy. Anyways, let's somebody in the chat was it's Alfonso Mendoza says dismemberment was on the flood enemies. I don't remember that. He could be right though. There might have been dismemberment on those enemies, but they just add it to all the enemies. Why not? They're aliens, all of it. Just destroy them.
So
all.
you'd want it to kind of be more mature,
Yeah.
right? That seems to be one pattern here. You want the sort of campaign to be more, I don't know, like punchy, I guess, right? And maybe get more set pieces,
fleshed out,
things like that.
a more fleshed out story too. To be honest,
Yeah,
I don't know. I love a good story in these games, and I think that we didn't get enough of that in Infinite. If that's the one thing I had to really complain about, is that we didn't get those. And I know people are going to hate it, especially Xbox guys, but we didn't get enough like cinematics and stuff for me anyway. Colt, I know you probably feel that way too.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's just
Yeah, a lot of the cutscenes in Infinite were real-time cutscenes, and then they were all holographic. Like everything was like a memory, and it just wasn't.
But for multiplayer, I don't know what more they can do other than just add more weaponry and
this
stuff.
This is the one that
maps.
I didn't like their move. I didn't like the live service thing. And the reason I say that is when you say it's a live service game that comes with expectations, and they weren't able to meet those expectations. So if they're going to do a live service again, then they're going to have to ramp up to be able to handle it. I'd prefer to just have the standard Halo multiplayer. Just do what you did before, because that works fine. I like Master Chief Collection had more players than Infinite on PC. And Master Chief Collection is not a live service game. It's just it's a collection of the old Master like Halo games, right? And that is fine. I think that would be better. Just freaking do that. Just give me a standard multiplayer. Give me the freaking modes. That they didn't have, like, they had like 4 freaking modes for like 6 months. I'm like, what? Come on. Like, that's just so ridiculous. Like, you have to be able to do, like, now they have a lot, which is good, but they have to have multiple modes out there. And then the maps, they had the same freaking maps for almost a year. What the heck is that crap?
Yeah,
right?
you need more maps for sure.
That's gotta stop. Like, if you go back to Halo 1, 2, 3, within a year they dropped like 12 maps or something ridiculous. Like, how do you not have maps ready to go? Like, anyway, that my complaints were those.
And also, Forge was used a hell of a lot back in the day too. Forge was a big thing, big part of it.
It didn't come out for a long time. Forge co-op. I don't even want to hear that co-op is a feature that can come in later.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It has to launch co-op. That's ridiculous. It has to launch co-op. So,
well, if it's more linear, then it probably could be easier to put that co-op in there day one. I think the open world aspect was one of the biggest reasons why co-op didn't make it in. I don't know, but that's my guess anyway.
The thing and all that crap, right?
Yeah,
whatever. I don't care about that. I do agree with you, Fonz, on the open world on the campaign thing, though. It was kind of interesting, right? Because
I liked it, but the only thing, the negative aspect of it was there wasn't enough out in the open world.
Exactly.
I wanted more. I wanted more out there, not just enemies and the occasional little. Person you might come across that needed help or something. I think there needs to be more scenarios that just pop up in that world. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to go back to a more linear based thing, which would be fine to me if they do make it more mature, had that dismemberment, bring back the flood, bring back that more horror-esque nature to it. I think that makes more sense. If you did it that way, if you had a linear game opposed to an open world game, you have to add that horror element back to Halo, because it did have that in the original. If you, even the music and everything, if you go back to Halo CE, I remember the tone and the feeling you got in certain missions and stuff where it felt dark. It felt ominous and scary. And you didn't know when the flood was about to come around that corner, and you were like, holy crap, when it did. I want more of that again. I think that would be really fun for future Halos. I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with. But, these guys are developers and writers and stuff. They should be able to come up with some awesome things. And somebody said that, I was watching a video today, totally forgot who said it, but somebody that worked on Halo years ago, who's with Bungie now, he was talking about saying that there's some interesting things you can do in the Halo Combat Evolved universe, like some story elements and stuff that were left out of the original game that they could actually put back in there that were really cool. And if they do a reboot, that's a possibility to do, because I think it was Ryan McCaffrey that tweeted something like, why are they doing this? This is kind of redundant if they make a reboot of Combat Evolved. But this guy had to chime in and said, no, there's things that they could add to this to make it a good thing. And yeah, there's always things you can do to make something less redundant, I guess. But it's just a matter of will they? And is Halo Studios, do you think, that's a good question. Do you think Halo Studios, now that they're dubbed Halo Studios anyway, do you think that they are going to kind of right this ship, or do you think they already have started to right the ship? Colt?
I mean, they got rid of the toxic blocking leadership that wouldn't allow the developers to have a voice on what they want to create. And what makes a really great game is great creative directors and great creative people saying, hey, I have this wonderful idea. I think it's going to be exciting, and everyone rallies around it. It sounded like it was like, this is how we're doing it. This is the decisions we're making, and just shut up and do your job because this is what makes money. And it failed for them. So I think that's really going to help. And we talked earlier on the show about the change the engine. Hargeet nails it. They had to teach people how to use slip space, and then they leave. So they wasted a lot of time. They wasted a lot of time getting that engine to do what they wanted at that fidelity, and it really didn't deliver in what they originally promised. So I don't know what will make Halo great other than somebody there who's really creative and really amazing has to be heard. And I don't know if those changes are being made. So hopefully, I mean, I think they're learning their lesson. Bungie's learning that lesson right now, that it was my way or the highway. And the leadership guys said, this is how you do things. Just shut up and do your job. And I'm speculating, but it seems to be one of the problems. It seems that 343 and Bungie had the same issues, and you end up coming up with content that the masses aren't loving. So
what if you have a developer on the team that's scared of guns and doesn't like guns?
Yeah, I know there's that whole thing, and that guy isn't a developer,
man.
you know, he's a producer. And
I know.
I did get upset about some of the stuff that was being exposed about Halo Studios employees. And it's easy these days to get outraged immediately because the AAA gaming space over the past 3 years has been shiz. It's been a problem, and people are not happy with it. And so I forgot where I was going there, but yeah, the outrage. Sometimes I just need to take a step back and say, hold on, are people getting really this upset? Like there was the female employee who is chief of staff, and I could ask Hargeet. Hargeet works in a corporate environment. What does the chief of staff do at a studio? What would be your best educated answer on that?
I mean, I don't even know why you would need one, but my guess would be that they handle the sort of the upper management staff as far as their whatever their specific needs, because they're the ones, those upper management people are the ones that are actually running the other parts of the company. So I'm not sure what the specific thing is there. I would have thought that would be the head of the studio that does that, but in some cases you do see a chief of staff because the head of the studio or the head of the organization wants to just focus on other stuff. So they want somebody else to handle sort of the management of those people. So yeah, I'm not sure that they would be involved in any of the decision making. That would be the head of those different divisions, right? So that's generally how that works out. So I don't think they would be involved in any of that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, like that, certain people are going to nitpick anything, any kind of good news that some company has. People will go out there and try and find anything to be negative about. It happens.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just I myself am a proclaimed 343 hater. Like, yeah, I am. I don't love them. I think most of their games, Halo games, have been awful. But I did like Infinite. And I want to see them get better, of course. I don't want to see them. I want them to turn that around for me. Okay, that's how I'm going to be selfish here and say I'm not going to be as excited as, say, you, Hargeet, or Colt for 343 or Halo Studios until they prove me wrong, until they give me a full, great freaking package with Halo. And when they do, then I can say, hey, yeah, they turned it around for me. But until then, I'm also not going to be the guy saying, F them. I'm never going to like any of their games. Halo sucks. Now it's dead. I'm not going to be that guy. And I think a lot of people expected me to be that guy tonight, especially when I was putting it out there about, you look at my thumbnail and everything with this Master Chief and everything, but I'm not. I don't hate Halo. I love Halo. Halo 1, for those of you that may not know this, I've told this story before. I've even told it on the Iron Lords many years ago. There was a time in my life where I was very, very depressed. I was not playing games. I did not care about anything. Okay. I didn't care about life. I bought an Xbox, an OG Xbox, out of just habit. Okay. It was the new console, and I said, you know what? I'm going to buy it, whatever. And I bought this game called Halo Combat Evolved with it. And I'll be honest, it may sound cliche nowadays because a lot of people say stuff like this. I've heard people say, oh, gaming saved my life and stuff, but Halo was that game that brought me out of, started to bring me out of my depression. Halo Combat Evolved was that game. It was huge in my life. Huge. And so it means a lot to me. I will always have a fond memory of Halo Combat Evolved. It'll always have a special place for me. So Halo is definitely one of my favorite franchises there is because of what it did for me personally. So there's that. But yeah, I'm not going to hate on Halo just to hate, or, not that guy.
It's tough to say how great Halo is going to be because it's been around for 20 years. And, we had this argument this morning. I was like, name a franchise that's still kicking butt after 20 years. And you guys are like, wow, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
What were the other ones you said? You rattled off a bunch of them.
And guess what? They're Xbox ones. But anyway.
Yeah.
A bunch of Blizzard games too.
I mean, yeah, you could say Mario, Zelda, right? Those are obviously, they've been around for quite a while, but
CS.
But yeah, I mean, Halo is still pretty relevant after 25 years. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it could be bigger. Yeah.
No, shout out to Infinite Umbra in the chat. It's good to see you, brother. But yeah, we just got to wait and see on this whole situation with Halo Studios. Again, it's kind of like they say in that promo video, a new dawn. You got to see what they're going to come up with. They're at least trying to do something different, right? And you can't hate them for trying to do something different to try to, gain their, whoever they may have lost back, and to hopefully gain a new following. That's the whole strategy here. This is what they're trying to do. And I'm not going to hate on any developer for trying to do something new. As much as I don't like certain developers, I'm never going to wish for them to fail ever. It's just not in my nature. I just can't. I want good games, damn it. I don't know why you would want bad games. Doesn't make sense. We lost Colt again, it appears. Uh-oh. But Hargeet, I guess final thoughts on the whole situation. What would you say? Your parting words for Halo Studios and the new Halo projects?
Very excited to see where they go. I think it was good that they rebranded. A lot of that isn't just for us, right? It's really for themselves internally, right? To say we're shifting to a new focus. We're going to go in a different direction. It's a lot of the same people, fair enough, but a lot of them also were laid off. There was a change in leadership, right? And so this is a way for Pierre to say, this is my vision of Halo going forward. This is what we're going to do. Bonnie created 343. This is now my vision of Halo going forward, and we'll see how he drives it. So far, so good. I'm sort of liking what I'm seeing from him. So hopefully this will be a good move for them. And the change in leadership hopefully is bold. And they do go in different directions, like all the stuff that you guys are talking about. Some of these things need to change. You don't have to do change for change's sake, right? But you have to change things to meet the current world. And I think there is a potential to say, and I hate to say this, but like God of War it, right? But I don't want them to take away Jump. But there is a grandiose of that, God of War change that they had in 2018.
It was huge. It was great.
And so there is a potential to say, let's do that. Let's do something crazy like that, right? And that makes it third person, right? And maybe you have to kind of play that angle to say, can I make something epic to showcase Halo in a different light? And look, it doesn't even have to be Master Chief. It can be a different story. Right. And in that, there's a massive universe there with so much potential. So I'm hoping they do that, like be bold and do some interesting new things. Right. And that way you can showcase this universe in a different light. So,
I'm going to say something that kind of adds to what you just said there. And it may be controversial for many people out there, but and even it surprises me. But I gave this some thought today on what I would like to see in the future of Halo. And when you mentioned that it doesn't necessarily have to be with Master Chief, I think you're spot on. I think you're dead right. The reason being is because we all played ODST here.
Fantastic.
Great game, right? You don't necessarily. I used to be of the belief that no, Master Chief is Halo, Halo is Master Chief. But there comes a time when everybody's got to just step down, right? In real life, in gaming, especially, it can happen as well. Nathan Drake stepped down from Uncharted. If we ever get another Uncharted, it's probably going to be somebody else. But my thing is, I could see him sort of being, retired in some manner in a game. In a game, I would like to see them bookend his story at the very least, though. I don't want them to pull a Yote on Jin Sakai. I don't want the Ghost of Tsushima to just jump 200 years and go into a Ghost of Yote with a female lead. What I want to see is if they do want to push forward with this, at some point you will have to leave Master Chief behind, and the way you do it is you have to bookend his story. You have to finish his story, and whatever that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I'm not ready for him to be retired.
Okay.
I do hear you though. I do hear you though. At some point, yes.
But you can also, alongside Master Chief, have other projects with other Spartans. You don't just need Master Chief, and maybe this is how you homegrow a Spartan to the public. You make them get really popular with gamers. Is you start off with another game separate to Master Chief's Halo. So on another ring, another, whole thing. And it could be awesome. It could be awesome.
We just did with Gears, right? They went to E-Day, right? There is some potential there. You could say, hey, the formation of the Covenant, could that be a game? So we see this from a very different angle. Let's not even look at the human side of it. Let's look at the Covenant side of it, right? Would that be a story worth telling? Would that be something people might be interested in playing? We could start on the Spartan program. Yep. How did that form? How does that go? How did they get out there? Right? What were they doing? All the stuff they're doing before the attack at Reach, right? All that stuff. There's a potential story there, right? There's so much they could do. Let's see it, right? That's the thing I would like to see. You could go way the hell back and go to the Forerunners.
Yeah.
You have the entire Forerunner story. Right. And what happened before that to set up the Didact and all that? There's so much stuff they could potentially do. That's what I would like
not the Prometheans. Don't bring back the Prometheans, please.
They're the worst.
You have the Forerunners, the rings, right? All this stuff. No. There's so much they could get into, right?
But
There's
I know what you're saying.
Stories, right? There's potential stories there. Let's see some of that.
You know what was
go in different directions.
You know what to me was worse than the Prometheans in Halo 4? Was the fact that the Didact was such a great badass enemy villain, but then he wasn't, and he was beat too easily, in my opinion, and that was the problem I had with Halo 4. That and the teleporting Prometheans were just awful. But I understand what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying there, right? Because they could have been more creative in the way you had to defeat the guy, right? Yeah. They just kind of made it a very simple thing that Cortana. Well, I'm not going to ruin it. I'll just leave it alone. For those who haven't played it, go ahead and play it.
But I love the fact that they use Cortana in a lot of different ways like that, right, throughout the franchise. Yeah. And I think that was kind of lacking in Infinite, the use of Cortana. And I didn't like the Cortana in Infinite as much as I liked Cortana in the previous games.
Cortana, right?
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
But so I think there's so many stories to tell. Certainly, the Flood gives you so much opportunity, right? With the potential of not having a Spartan, and you're an ODSC, you're a normal Marine, you're just a human, anything, right? And you can start playing out so many potentials with that.
It's true.
There's so much opportunity here. The funny thing is, out of the Halos, the one that I've played the most is Halo Wars, right?
Oh wow! You
Like-
know, that's what I've never played that, because that's the tactical game, right? The
Yep.
RTS.
That
Yeah.
game. It's so good. So like that's the kind of thing that I want them to do more. They have Halo Wars 1 and 2 already. There's potential to do more there. But look, there's so much potential for this. There's another one that people might not care about, but I think is a good idea, is make a Lego Halo and then put that everywhere. I think they should do that. And that it just introduces the character to a lot more people. And Lego games are just kind of universal games. So why not? Like, go ahead and do that.
Let me ask you one thing. Do you think, speaking about multiplat, do you think we'll ever see Halo go to PlayStation? Your honest opinion.
I don't know. It's one of those question marks of what do you gain, what do you lose, right? If there's enough of a revenue from it, and forget PlayStation, you should think PlayStation, Nintendo, right? We always assume
both.
Nintendo there.
Yeah.
But you should just think it would be multi-plat. I don't know. It's so much the identity of Xbox. Just think, you bought the Xbox to play Halo, and you played Halo, and it changed your life. That's my experience too, by the way. I thought Halo was going to be shit, but they had stacks and stacks of it. I picked it up.
I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. I wasn't keeping up on gaming at that point, and I just picked it up.
I literally thought, and played, right? I literally thought I would put the disc in, play it 10 minutes, and throw it away. That's literally how I thought of Halo. I put it in. It didn't leave my console for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I called a friend over. We played. We literally.
I was playing overnight,
all the way
man.
to Sunday.
Yeah, I was playing
we
overnight.
Just kept playing. It was so good. And it changed the gaming model for us.
Yep.
It was like, yo, we have to keep playing this because the co-op campaign, it was so good. So Halo is Xbox, and they have to kind of recognize that. If you do something like that, you are kind of conceding that Halo is beyond Xbox at this point. The question is that necessary? I would say it would be if they didn't own ABK, but they kind of own ABK. You've got those games now. Do you really need to do that with this?
I
don't
think,
to me, no.
Yeah, if I had to make an educated guess, I would say that we will see Halo on going multiplat at some point. Some aspects of it anyway, whether it just be the multiplayer or the whole thing. But I could see it happening, especially with the way Xbox is kind of headed these days. It seems like they're headed towards that, being the biggest multiplat publisher there is. Colt, you've been having a lot of problems. The last time you came in,
sorry.
You weren't going in. You didn't have that stop motion animation look. You were actually fluid the last time.
Yeah,
you were
and
here.
then it went right back.
It's weird.
I'm talking to one of my IT friends right now, and he said my internet provider is just
garbage.
Has kicked the hose. Yeah. It's not like this when I do.
No,
it is
later,
but
yeah.
So,
but anyways, Colt, I mean, you're coming in fine though, your voice. So let everybody know, what do you think about?
Say hi to Legendary Drops in the chat.
Legendary Drops,
Drops,
my buddy Ian's in the chat. Shout out to him. I have to give him some big props because this man, last year, I was just browsing YouTube for a while, and I was actually looking for gaming podcasts. I was searching gaming podcasts because I wanted to find talent out there to bring onto my show that was not in our community. So I found him and his Just Gaming podcast, which is now defunct. It's not a thing anymore, but he was doing a podcast with Mark, and I was blown away by these guys. And I was like, you know what? These guys should be bigger than they are. And Ian, especially when he was starting to make videos, I was like DMing him and stuff and saying, man, you have huge potential. You could be huge. And this man only had a few hundred people following, subscribed at the time. And now he's at 160 something thousand, might even be 170,000. I haven't checked in the last couple of days, but the guy is killing it. So shout out to Legendary Drops. Man, I'm so impressed with what he's done here on YouTube, and it's awesome to see. I mean, it's really cool. Like, it blows my mind because I've never been there from the beginning of seeing somebody's growth, and telling somebody, hey, you can make it big. I know you can. And then he does it. And you're like, holy crap. He puts in the work and he freaking does it. It's amazing. But that's what it does, man. 185,000 right now. He's going to hit 200K.
He said Earth. Yeah. 185,000 subs. Yeah. I saw it this morning.
Yeah. That's insane. Man, seriously, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's nuts, dude. But it is great to see. And you guys may have seen him on some earlier episodes of Games Talk Live. It's crazy. Yeah, you had like 200 subs. I remember when he told me a story the other day. I was talking to him on the phone. He was like, you know, it's funny because when you hit me up in our comments on one of our videos, you were at 8,000 subs, and I couldn't believe it. That somebody with 8,000 subs was talking to me and like saying, you know, I was good or whatever. And I was just like, bro, that 8,000 ain't shit. Look at you now, man. Dwarf me by so many thousands, but you put in the work, bro. So you deserve it. And he's now working like with Osmond Gold, you know, their freaking talent team and stuff. Like just great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to see. Always like to see that. Anyways, Colt, with you, Halo going forward though, Halo Studios, any kind of parting words for the studios and what you think they can do in the future, for the franchise as a whole? Like what do you think that you'll ever see a Halo game on PlayStation and Nintendo?
Yeah, if a Halo game would run on the Switch too, yeah, I think they should put it there. They'll probably put this Combat Evolved remake on PlayStation. I think. I kind of think that. I've been saying I'm not quite sure, but I think they feel like they want Halo to be ubiquitous, like Fortnite. It's never going to be, especially if they're not willing to take risks. And I think that Halo Studios, I don't care what they change their name to or who's running it, they have not been much of a studio that takes risk, and they need to. They need to move Halo into the 2020s, and I don't think they did with Halo Infinite. So they've got a long ways to go. And I know everybody got excited about. Okay, am I still here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
My internet is really weird. Yeah, sorry, my camera's choppy.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so I don't know. They really have to stretch out and do something big. Gaming asks for so much more, and Halo Infinite. They already rebooted Combat Evolved in their own way. That's what really held back Halo Infinite. Is we want to recapture that magic of 2001. It's like I don't want 2001 anymore. I don't want that. I was still in college. I've moved forward.
I mean, I liked it. I loved Halo Infinite. I thought it was awesome. But
I did too. I did like it a lot. I think I gave it a 90 or a 95 out of the campaign was really good.
It was good.
And it was more
and the multiplayer
fun
was
than
awesome at the start, but they didn't have the live service part of it. And that just what a fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's again for me still 343. I'm hoping to see better from them. We'll see. Halo with Halo Studios. By the way, I don't like their logo very much. I think it's kind of weird looking. It's off. It's odd.
I designed hundreds of logos. I don't have a problem with that logo.
Do you like the logo? I don't like the logo.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I don't think there's I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I just don't like it. It's just, I don't know how the H runs into the A.
They could have taken the Halo logo and they could have made it thicker just to stay true. But I think they're making a statement that they're not going to be doing the same thing. And that's what I hope they're doing with that logo. That logo is supposed to be their branding to say, look, we are moving forward. We're doing new, big, bold things with Halo. And then they got Master Chief in the fat suit, and they got the fat logo, so everything works out.
Master Chief in the fat suit. That's right.
Yeah.
Man. All right. Well, anyways, it's late. We're gonna get out of here. It's been over 2 hours. We had a great time.
Oh,
Hargeet, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can get that awesome book right there. And I hope you're wearing the Emergence shirt right now. Are you?
I'm not right now.
Damn
no.
it.
I'm not.
Damn it. Anyways.
Yeah, so YouTube, it's Hargeet21 if you want to subscribe away. If you want to pick up my Emergence sci-fi novel, it's shop.tiny.us. Check that out. And yeah, the next podcast I'll be on will be, I think, it's Friday. See Money and Doodle. And man, Colt, a lot of the chat. They're going after you in those freaking podcasts, man.
What other podcasts?
I've given up trying to
I've
given up trying to like.
For what?
Why is he? Is he too a pony?
Let's talk about it.
Is he too much of a pony bot?
Because if people have a problem that I'm not running an echo chamber, then I don't want to have that conversation with them. Because I brought Mag on because he plays on Xbox.
They are a lot more, I guess, console enthusiastic. I don't know how to really put it, right? Because they really delve more into that.
I get it. I gave Mag crap for being extra in front of all those places. Like, he was with the most diehard PlayStation knobheads. And I said, you went extra with those guys. You fell into the whole rhythm. And, it's like you fell for it, right? And because normally people said, look what Mag said. Look what Mag said. I'm like, he says that on my podcast. He's allowed to not like Xbox continually to fail to deliver games consistently. And we both said it on our show. I have Mag on my show because I don't want an echo chamber. I want to hear us talk about, I want to be able to talk about PlayStation and Xbox.
The console wars are stupid. I'll say it again. I'll say it forever.
They're
dumb. They're done. It doesn't make any sense. And I love my PC.
I've been playing on PC about that,
right?
I've been playing on PC so much this summer because Xbox doesn't have anything for me to play. Except for Age of Empires.
Yeah, so the podcast that Mag was on, yes, okay, they're PlayStation. The problem is they're all Xbox guys.
Well, they are.
They really are. They're all Xbox guys.
You can laugh about that, but that's the issue, Hargeet. Hargeet, listen. Hargeet, listen to me. Listen to what you just said. These guys are so biased that they have to completely take their personality and flip it from green to blue. Instead of like me, when Xbox pisses me off, I switch the HDMI cable over to PlayStation and play their games for a little bit, and then I come back and play on Xbox.
Yeah.
These people who feel like they have to make a flip or they have to make a switch are immature fanboys. And I've been one for many years, and I've made many mistakes over these years. And these people that feel like they have to change the color of the shirt they're wearing, they have to change which deity they pray to every day, that makes consoles.
And now Colt has come to PC. Yeah, baby.
Well, I mean, look,
I'm on Xbox.
He's always been on
50% of the time.
He's always been on PC. That's it's not new.
No, I know, dude. I've got my PlayStation, I've got Xbox, I got my PC, all connected to my nice shiny quantum dot monitor here.
Right.
And I just switch my cables and play whatever I want. Yeah.
You're probably gonna see me on podcasts where they make fun of both of you, and they make fun of a lot of other of my friends, and I'm like, and I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm like,
Hargeet does not feel a
Tim. Like, oh my god, I don't even know what to say with Tim. I'm like,
Tim's not on the podcast.
I'll tell you another thing, and I'm not going to bring this up anymore about Mag, but it's just like Vaughn's. Mag just bought a PS5 Pro and a brand new killer monitor. He wants to play games the best they can play, but he doesn't want to play on PC at all. I've tried to tell him he won't. He doesn't want to mess with it. He's got a brand new console that is going to play every multiplat better than the Series X, and he's got a killer monitor that he can't wait to plug into that thing. If he says he wants to play Indiana Jones on that thing, how can you make fun of him for that?
But yeah,
how can you?
It is what it is, man. Like I don't know what to do with all these like things that come after you, and I'm like,
yeah, but
I hate the whole thing. I hate the whole going after
wait a
people
minute.
thing.
So what you're telling us is guys that are all about one console get mad at us for liking multiple platforms.
Oh, and it's all over the place. There's people in here that'll come after me, and it's like, okay. What can I do?
To be fair,
I don't care. I don't care.
It is 3% of the people. It's 3% of all the hundreds of people that watch live. It's a measly 3% that are like, how dare you not pray to the god of green?
I don't care. I really don't care.
I just like having fun with this. I do general fun things. Like,
and I'm doing all this at 2 frames per second because my internet sucks right now.
It's just weird. And, the further I've gotten, into like PC gaming and stuff, the more I see how stupid some of the conversations are between PlayStation and Xbox guys and how they fight over my console does 2 frames more than yours. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Who's gonna notice?
Like, I'm sitting here running in a game at 240 frames and you guys are complaining about 58 frames opposed to 60? Get out of here with that nonsense. It's dumb. It's dumb. At the end of the day, it's like this. Play where you want, enjoy what you want, and who gives a damn what somebody says about it? Who gives a damn? Because I sure don't care. I don't care if people go, oh my God, you're a freaking PC Master Race pony bot, freaking loser. Go ahead. Say what you will. I play games that I like, and that's how it should be. That's how everybody should be. This gaming hobby is about fun, not about tearing each other down over stupid plastic.
Mag was on Boom's show today with me, right? And
the
chat went on to him. Like they ripped him. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. It's like, okay.
Facts.
He said he went off on him for like an hour. I mean, imagine I was supposed to have a really cool guest on this week that just covers all gaming. And I imagine if he was sitting there while people gave Mag crap about saying, I've decided to play Indiana Jones on PS5 Pro instead of Series X, my guest would have said, who gives a fuck? Why are you guys even talking about this? Who cares where he wants to play? Who cares about it? 3 months ago, he said I was going to play Indiana Jones day one on Series X, and then he sees the Pro, sees all the analysis, which we kind of laugh at some of them, and he says, that's where I want to play. Who gives a crap? And they're personally attacking him for that.
No,
it's absolute immaturity.
Albert G said Xbox made Fonz a PC gamer. No, Hargeet did. Blame Hargeet. Hargeet made me a PC gamer. He bought me a PC and I freaking love it. Okay. Hate me if you want, but at the end of the day, I love it. Okay. And it's not even just about platform to me. It's just gaming. I love gaming. If there's a great game on PlayStation, I play it. Okay. I go to the PlayStation and play it. If there's a great game on Xbox only, that's where I'm going to play it. I don't care about platform. Never have. It's all about the games. And this is something that you guys should learn and stop fighting over plastic. It's dumb. It's pointless. It makes zero sense, especially going after other grown men about where they like to play their games. It's weird.
That's why like 80 to 90% of my videos now are about games, or they're about studios, or they're about games in the works. Like I stopped talking about the console updates because it was, especially with Xbox, it was getting ridiculous waiting for what was happening next.
Huge
update.
It
was getting ridiculous. and
man.
and with the way the Xbox goes, like I'm going to play games on the Series X or PC or PlayStation 5, but it's really about the games, and we've lost the whole concept when we're arguing about which platform is cooler or which one delivers the best experience exclusively on a piece of plastic. Those days are gone.
You know what else?
It's funny, like I'll see people post pictures of game cases, and like that, those days are gone. 80% of everything is digital now. You needed that disc that only went in and was only read by that device. Those days are like disappearing so fast.
You know what else? I'm going to give them more fuel to use, to burn for them, for me anyways. Hargeet, I no longer have Game Pass, and I will no longer push Game Pass as being value oriented, because you taught me this as well. Game Pass just isn't for me. And the reason being is not because they don't have a lot of games on there. It's because they don't have the games that I want to play.
Exactly. And that's what I've been saying. Is like, it's up to you to gain the value if you want it or not. Though I'd suggest on your side, if you're not going to play on the console, PC Game Pass can get to about $70 a year.
Here's the thing, though.
That can be worth it if you have one game that you want to have.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Would I get Game Pass to try to play, say, like if I go to CD Keys or something and get a 3-month pass? That's different. And I'll use that for whatever games I want to play in a 3-month window or whatever. That's makes
exactly
sense.
what you need to do.
but outside of that, paying it for all year long, for me myself, it's not a value. It's just not. Because I look back at this year, and though my son has played more Game Pass than I have, for me, I have not played much Game Pass at all. And the games I did try to play on Game Pass, Shattered Space, I'm looking at you, won't even boot up on my PC. Won't even boot up on my PC. Like, it's there. I download it. It tells me to move files over that I can't even move because why? The Xbox version of the game isn't the same as Steam. Why?
Xbox doesn't know how to do PC stuff? Yeah, that takes me off.
It's Bethesda's install process is broken, and they haven't fixed it for a year. A year. That bug has been there since September 2023. They haven't fixed it. And the problem is, like, their workaround works if you're on Windows 10. It doesn't work if you're on Windows 11.
Oh,
and
crap.
Like, why is that my problem? Why is that, like, you haven't fixed this? Your first party.
Yeah.
Like,
and the way I look at it is, like,
annoying.
there's a lot of smaller games in Game Pass that gamers like you, Hargeet, love to play, and you see the value proposition there. For me, I look at those small games and I'm like, no, not going to do it. So because they don't have these big games that I want to play, and there's not enough of them, even when they do, 1 or 2 a year isn't enough. My Game Pass went up to like $20. And why am I going to pay $20 a month?
Key, right?
Yeah, why am I going to pay $20 a month for that? No, there's no goddamn way. It is not the best value in gaming at all. I will not attest to that anymore. I will not subscribe to that notion. I just think it depends on what type of gamer you are. If you love a bunch of AA's year in, year out, it might be a value to you. But if you're into the bigger AAA games, nah, don't look there. Don't look at Game Pass. It's not worth it for the whole year. It's just not. I mean, this year, all I have to play is Indiana Jones, and I'm just going to buy it. I'm just going to buy Indiana Jones, play it, and be done with it. And I'm going to buy it on Steam, not the Xbox version, because I want to make sure that it runs right and it does what it needs to do. Because it's not the first time it's happened. I've played other games like Flintlock that were better on the Steam version than the Xbox version. Why? I don't know, but they're different. They're different. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's the games that you want to play. That's just the way it is, right? And I don't know how to really, counter that. That's why I was telling you guys. I don't think it's for you. It's intended for people who want to play a variety.
By the way, I got a $1.99 super chat from Face23 BKNY, and he made a bet with me. All right, and I had to take the bet.
Take it.
Okay. The bet was basically I don't remember the exacts to it, but it was if there are 330 frames games on the PS5 Pro by the time GTA 6 comes out, whenever that may be, he'll buy me a Pro.
If there are not, hasn't even proven to.
Well, here's the thing: if there's not
taking a stuck 30 game to 60,
but if there isn't 3 30 frames games by the time GTA 6 comes out, I have to come to this podcast and praise Mark Cerny about it.
You should take that bet. Wait,
I took the bet.
What do you get if he's wrong?
So if there's 60 on the base console, you're expecting them to be 30 on the Pro?
No, he's just saying that.
He's just saying if there's games that are stuck at 30.
I mean, there's not that many games that are stuck at 30.
No, there isn't. There isn't. I understand that, but it's just one of those. Whatever.
I mean, I wouldn't take that bet because I don't know that there would be 3 games that would be at 30 frames.
It's not
even
a big
on the
deal.
base console. Even on the base console, I think almost everything will come to 60.
It's not a big
very
deal.
hard to believe that.
It's not like he's pulling my arm. It's just whatever. Anyways, with that said, I want to say thank you for Colt, let everybody know where they can find you. Not that you need that outro, but go ahead and give your outro, bro.
Okay. Yeah. You can find me on PlayStation 5 where I'll play every game from now on.
Yes.
No, You can find me on
Clip it.
YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, and I'm just trying to make weekly content, and and check out the podcast on Monday, where Meg and I and a guest usually will talk about what's been going on for the week, and smile and have a good time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice. And with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming out to the podcast tonight. I want to say show, but it's a podcast. It's not a freaking show. I'm not dancing over here for you. Anyways, thank everybody in the chat. Thank everybody listening on demand, watching on demand. Appreciate you watching Colt's stop motion animation, frozen camera on demand. We all appreciate you. And until next time, remember, game on wherever you like, people. Doesn't matter where you play. If it does matter to you where somebody else plays, well, you've got a problem.